2, 1, 3 seconds later.
Three,
Click.
two, one,
And we're here.
and click. Well, hey, good evening, everybody. Saturday night. Hope y'all are having a good time. We're here at Kojak's doing another live stream game, and this is going to be a really good one. We got a lot of folks talking. We got a lot of folks ready to make good decisions, and even more importantly, we've got more folks ready to make bad decisions.
Always. We've got a pretty good table tonight, too.
It's looking like a great table. We got Jade. You see her in the yellow.
You have Jason.
We got Jason up there.
Is that Slate in the corner?
Slate is in the corner. We got Billy.
Oh, this table's going to get wild.
This table is going to get
I
wild.
think his name might be Philip.
Oh, no, it's not Philip.
Is that not?
That's what I guessed. It was Richard.
Not Richard the dealer.
Oh,
then.
yeah, all right.
The player. He's pretty good.
We'll have to wait till the names come up. Yeah, I tried to meet everybody before the table got started. You know how that goes.
I work here. I'm supposed to know their names, and I don't.
Yeah. I'm an honorary employee, I think. But, yeah, Richard, one of my favorite dealers, so we got him starting off. Always good.
Philip.
Or whatever.
Or whatever.
Yep, I see Slate. Slate picking up the 8-9 suited. Not too bad there. Under the gun, kind of a loose call, but you know what? Hey, it's the first hand. We're getting things off to a good
Slate
start.
says you have to hate money to play this game.
Oh boy, do you? Yeah, it looks like
If I
we
don't
got.
play, I love money.
See, you know that's the thing. I love money, so I try to play and win money, and that's not working out so good. It's not working out so good.
I'm just not a strong enough player.
Oh yeah, well, especially on these live games, you know, it's tricky because you feel like everybody's playing their best, everybody's on their best. Flop comes 3-4-5, real interesting flop. Good for a wheel. We got 3 diamonds out there. Corey's the only one holding a diamond, so he does make the bet, and nobody calls. Not even Jade.
That's interesting.
Jade realized she's behind. She didn't try to bluff the first hand. Here is our chip count. Now, if you hear in the background the announcer, we've got a tournament going on. This is day 1.
Day 1D and Day 1E.
Day 1D and Day 1E. So we got 2 different types of tournament going on. Same tournament, but 2 different, I guess, fields? What do you call that? Flights. 2 different flights.
All of them trying to bag to get into our Day 2, which is actually going to be Monday since tomorrow is Easter.
Love it.
We decided to push our Day 2 back to Monday so everybody can spend time with their family, Easter egg hunt.
Very nice.
So they're all trying. We've got a couple bagged already, and
Easter egg hunt, I feel like, is it's the gateway to poker. You know, because you're running out there, you're trying to collect as many Easter eggs as
especially
possible.
when the
You don't know what's in there.
Well, no, because
Yeah.
the Easter bunny,
Right.
that he hides money sometimes.
Sometimes he hides
Them
money. I
golden
know.
eggs are worth a lot.
And that's exactly how I got started in poker. was Easter egg hunts.
I wish that was my way. My
Oh,
parents
man.
got me trapped in this life.
Yeah.
When you grow up around it, it's like
You
in your
can't.
blood.
Yeah, you can't get away from it.
No,
You can't get away from it. Your dad knows everything about it.
he thinks he does.
Well, you'd think he'd play better. He's got an answer for everything, but.
Chris, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Love you.
Yeah. I'm keeping it real.
He's gonna call me. He's gonna be like, Lindsay Ann,
What the heck?
I did nothing. I'm just in here hanging out on break, hiding.
Exactly. And this is a good place to hide right now. Good place to hide. Yeah, and playing in the tournament, we've got Greg Raymer, the Fossil Man, playing. I believe he's still in, too.
He is at the moment.
He was doing well last time I
He's
looked.
actually made it to final table.
Hey, very nice.
So they've
Final
got
table of the night.
6 players in a. I don't know. Okay. Anybody else hear that noise outside?
That was a strange noise. I hope
Hope
you
they're
did
okay.
not hear it. If you're watching, write us in the chat. Let us know what you thought that noise was. Your guess is as good as mine, honestly. I have no idea.
No, Greg is still in though. He was playing pretty strong earlier.
Very strong player. Did a clinic
He did.
earlier this week, and I was in attendance. Was a great clinic.
I wanted to come. I was working.
Yeah. That's the trick when you do a clinic on Tuesday. Let's see, we got Robert with pocket 5s. Just making the smooth call. I think that's a pretty good decision with those low pairs. You know, you kind of don't. You want to stay out of trouble.
Oh yeah.
He might be up against Ben with the King 7.
He's a
Nope.
strong player. Ben is.
Ben folds.
He hasn't come around in a while. He doesn't live here though. I don't think, but he's a pretty decent player.
Strong player, strong beard. I feel like Bearded Ben. That's whoo.
That's a good flop for fives.
That is a great flop for fives. Either you're up against an ace or you're ahead.
Until that five hits.
Mm.
And then you're in trouble.
Then you're in trouble. It's not a five though. It's an 8 of diamonds and then a 6 of spades. And looks like that 6 is going to be good enough for Jade to take it down. Unafraid Jade playing any 2 cards tonight. I heard her chattering. She says she's going to try and play every hand.
Doesn't she do that anyways?
Nah, pretty much. That's a valid strategy.
She's going to yell at me when she hears it. I'm going to walk out there. She's going to be like, Carter, sorry.
Oh. A lot of players buying in for 2.5K. Looks like the standard buy-in of the night. Couple players buying in short of that. Still a lot of money on the table, though. And, yeah, I don't know. Is it a full moon out there tonight? I really don't know what's going on.
I think it is, actually, because it's like Easter
feels-
weekend, there's supposed to be like a full moon, and then like tonight there's supposed to be a pink moon or something. Ooh. I know. I saw it all over Facebook. I don't know if it's true. It's the internet, but I'm believing it.
Moon.
It was on the news.
No, it doesn't actually change color. It's just the atmosphere filtering out the light. Yeah,
no,
but I'm
it
sure it
changed
looks
colors.
cool. It changed colors. Somebody's dyeing eggs. Somebody else is dyeing the moon.
The Lord
Oh,
said.
here we go. Philippe picking up. Philip. You can't fault me on the spelling. You were right though, Philip. You were right. Philip with the pocket 6 is now an upgrade over the pocket 5s. And Jason with the king queen off.
Slate's got one of his 6s.
Yep. Watch out for that. There goes the out. Not likely to hit trips.
Oh, we have 2 Philippes? Oh, no. Okay. That's how the action went. Okay.
We have one Philippe and one Philip. I'm kidding.
I'm going to go out there and be like, Philippe, it's your action. He's going to be like, who?
Who? What? Oh, man. Pair of 10s on the board here. Not too bad. Jason with the top pair, though, is going to take it down with just a quick bet and a quick fold. Loving the hairdo, Jason. I say keep that going.
That's Mohawk.
Did he lose a bet? Or
No,
that's
he
a
has,
standard?
So I've known him for about 2 years now, and that has been him from day one.
Love it. Love it.
That's just his thing.
Makes me jealous. I rocked fun fact, I rocked a Mohawk for a little while in high school.
Lord.
You know, those days are behind me, though. It looks like Jason's days are just ahead of him. And he's now the chip leader, 2.6K under the gun right now. Let's see what kind of cards he can pick up. This is going to be an electric night, I can already tell by the way Richard is dealing those cards out, one of my favorite dealers. Looks like we've got a couple of folds almost all around. Jade, of course, makes the call.
He did not always have it, though.
Yeah, he's got a good-looking beard, too. You know?
Are you just jealous that you can't grow one? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
That's what it
I'm
is.
like, you're talking so highly of their beard.
My insecurities are coming out tonight. If we don't see exciting poker action, at least you'll get to hear my insecurities.
My insecurities.
Jade making a good fold to a 2-pair hand. Jason at 2.6K. Robert, all the way at the bottom, $770. I don't know if I would call that a short stack at this table. You're one double up away, being right around that 1.5K mark.
He'll hold on to it for a while.
I say that's a good plan. I say that is a good plan. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're having a good time. Easter weekend. Pretty good weekend.
I'm hoping tomorrow my mom brings me an Easter basket, but I highly doubt it. I have tagged her in probably 40 different posts on Facebook saying, you better bring me an Easter basket.
If you're old enough to drink, you're probably too old for an Easter basket.
That's the thing, though. I'm not asking for candy. I want, like, cleaning
just want a
supplies.
basket.
It's not hard.
I want some deviled Easter eggs, you know? Dye those bad boys up.
She left 18 or 17 at my house yesterday.
Okay. Well, hey, send them my way. I'll eat
My
at
family
least
came
all
over
of
for
them.
dinner, and I was like, okay. And she's like, we're going to dye eggs. I brought them. I was like, cool, great. And then she left them in my fridge. She's like, I just don't have room in my fridge for them. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to eat 18 eggs in the next, 3 days, mother.
Ooh. Now look at this. We got pocket kings.
Ooh.
Making the 3-bet up to 80. And gets one caller. Jason with the suited jack of
Jay
hearts.
had one of his outs.
That's true. Jay did have one of his outs.
Yeah.
Oh, full house on the flop. Now, let's see if Jason decides to represent an ace. That would be really interesting. He is on the button, so he's got ample opportunity to do that, but he does just check it back. Robert, probably not going to be able to get a call. He does make a bet, but that's a tough flop. Tough flop as far as getting action goes, but I mean, when you flop a full house, it feels pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we're already almost done with the first round. See that button moving around real fast. We are doing round of each tonight, so we're in the Hold'em round.
Sorry, my elbow.
Celebration motion
No.
here.
My arm was locked. I was popping it. That always cracks me up when players win like a little tiny hand and they start like fist pumping into the air and that kind of stuff. I'm like, dude, calm down. It was one hand.
So I should not do that, is what you're saying. Okay, all right.
I mean,
Pour
you
four.
can, but we're all gonna judge you, and I shouldn't admit it, but I judge every person who stands up and jumps around when they win a hand.
Oh man. All right. Well, look, if I'm trying to give off that I'm new here vibe, maybe I'll do that some more.
Okay.
I think most people know me though by now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Robert picking up the ace deuce suited against Corey's ace deuce suited.
I was gonna laugh if that came ace deuce suited.
We got the ace queen unsuited for Jade. 3 of the 4 aces locked down already. And Jade doesn't know it. She's probably pretty excited about that hand. It's a lot better than the junk she's been playing so far. Oh, wait a second. Now she's drawn to Broadway. I was going to say her ace is basically dead. But it looks like she picked up a pretty good flop in a different way. Still 33% equity. There's a good chance that her
Slate's
hand
got-
will be the best by the end of this. Slate
Slate has a straight.
Slate did get the straight. Straighten up, Slate. Yeah, as I say, there's a good chance
Corey's got a
Jade will have the
flush
best
draw.
hand.
Jade folded.
I know, yeah. As I'm saying that, Slate picks up the straight. Corey gets out of there. Not going to wait around for that third spade to hit.
That'd be gross if it did.
Oh, man, that would be nasty. I always love, Slate's holding a spade and a heart. I always love how it seems like when you're holding 2 different suits, the flop comes out of those 2 suits.
Right?
Isn't that weird? I don't know how that works. Slade picking up $195 profit out of that. Puts him up at the top of the chip count, 2.7K.
All right, I gotta go deal.
Here we go.
I'm
The
not
Crusher
dealing
is
live yet,
out there.
but we'll see y'all in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit. Always nice to have a guest in the studio. And we are having a good time, me and you, the viewers. Corey picking up ace deuce under the gun. That's not going to be good enough, I don't expect. He does make that fold right away. I did get to meet Billy briefly earlier in the night. He's got ace 10 unsuited. Ben picking up the ace jack suited, though. This could be a battle. Let's see if we can't get an ace on the flop. Oh, Eric getting out of there with the queen jack. Very good lay down. I wouldn't say tight lay down, but very good lay down. And Ben re-raises Billy's hand. Billy says, no way. I'm getting out of there. Still see a lot of players hanging around that 2.5K mark. Robert actually taking up the tail end at 825, increasing his chip stack at least a little bit. Now you may notice I'm the only one in the studio for now. I mentioned we're doing a tournament currently. My cohort Charlie is out there right now doing fairly well. He's got a set of headphones on and a big old smile underneath there. Asked him right before we stepped into the booth how it's going. He said it's going pretty good. He said he's down a little bit, but he is holding on pretty well. So good luck out there, Charlie. You never wish bad juju on anyone, but hey, if you bust, you'll join me in the studio. We'll have a good time like we always do. And you'll notice at the top there, we are switching over, doing a round of each. This is the first hand of the PLO round. Billy is under the gun, straddling. Ben, actually a pretty good hand. I also mentioned we did a clinic with Greg Fossilman Raymer. And part of that clinic was a little PLO. So I learned a little PLO because I was at the clinic. More importantly, though, I learned how to explain PLO. Thank you. And here is one of the most basic parts, basic tenets, I guess, of hand selection. Each one of your hands, your 4 cards, basically is 6 Hold'em hands, because you pair up those 4 cards with each other. You get 6 different combinations of hands. Look at this, Jason with pocket kings in there, a 9 and a deuce. Now that means that if you have a straggler like Jason's hand, king, king, 9, deuce, that deuce eliminates 3 good hands just with that deuce alone. So you really need to be as selective or more. Look at Jade picking up the full house. She's got the check mark already. So you need to be as selective with PLO, or more so selective with PLO, than you do with Hold'em if you're looking for those premium starting hands, especially if you're, like myself, a new player to the game. You want to give yourself the best opportunities possible, and part of that is hand selection. Now, if you've got the full house like Jade does, then you are sitting pretty. Look at this. That deuce does not change anything, except it gives Jason triple 2s. And it doesn't change who wins, who has that check mark. Doesn't change who wins at Showdown. Though Jason may feel pretty good about this. Jade does bet 500. Let's see if that's enough for Jason to call. He's thinking about it, though. He is thinking about it hard, shuffling those chips. This is going to be a tough one to get away from. He has a full house also. Deuce is full of 8s, but Jade's 8s full are just way better. This is a hard hand to get away from. I don't expect Jason to... Oh, wow! He does get away from it. That is an excellent, excellent fold right there. You got to be proud of yourself, buddy. That was a really, really good fold. Tough to let go. And we are going to be changing dealers. Here at Kojaks, we do bomb pots regularly. However, at the live table, we don't have the capabilities to stream those bomb pots. So if you're a fan of the bomb pots, we do them here. Make sure to check them out. Made a joke earlier. I've only won 2 of the 4 bomb pots that I've played. Not to brag or anything, but no, I'm kidding. It's a much higher loss streak than that. Josh, also known as the human calculator, out there shuffling chips like shuffling cards like a maniac. Ready to go. And we are still doing PLO right now. And with PLO here at Kojaks, it just seems like you get a lot of family pots. You get a lot of callers pre-flop. And I expect that trend is not going anywhere anytime soon. But I do notice PLO is becoming a lot more popular with poker players. And we'll have to see as to whether or not that becomes the dominant game. Right now, I still believe Hold'em is the dominant game, but a lot of different poker variations. Slate picking up a pair of 8s with a suited king along board. Ben, actually pretty nice hand. Jade, also very nice. Good couple of ways to make a straight there. She's got one too many diamonds, but not terrible. Jason makes a raise, so we can assume his hand is pretty good. Eric got that ace 9 6 5, and it looks like we are 5 ways to the flop, I believe. 6 players to the flop. Here we go. It's always tough to count before the action is concluded. That 9 and 7 of hearts doesn't help anybody out with a flush draw unless Billy's holding 2 hearts. And it looks like Jade's got a couple of different ways to make a straight. 5, 6, 7, blank 9. Ooh, there's a 10 of hearts. Let's see, if Billy bets, we can assume he's got a flush. Slate taking the betting lead under the gun. I like that. With his straight, he's got a straight, and he is going for it, unafraid of those hearts. Really good bet. Got everybody out of the pot. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of action so far tonight. Was talking it up. It looks like chip lead has now gone to Slate at 2.8K, up about 300. And you can see the following 3 spots have dipped down from 2.5 to 2.4K. So I guess that's where that 300 came from. Yeah, it seems like a lot of these players playing tight tonight. We'll have to see if we can't loosen them up Now that does tend to happen as we switch over from Hold'em to PLO. We'll start to see these players get a little cross-mogenated. We'll see these players loosen up a little bit and start playing some real interesting post-flop play, which is always one of my favorites. So look at the card dealing by Josh. You saw all 4 cards landed in the box there in seat 2. Pretty good, pretty good. Philippines. Real good hand there. Ace, King, Queen, Jack. Not double suited, but almost. Eric picking up another Broadway hand. Looks like this is going to be an action pot right here. Corey gets rid of his queens. You like to see that. Anytime there's a raise out there, you really have to be selective. If it's a limped pot, that's basically good to go. You got 4 cards. Let's see what happens. But once you see, especially Eric making that raise, $55, players become a little more selective. Jade, of course, unafraid. She likes that hand she's got there. Non-suited king, but some low cards. So if we see a low flop, she may be able to hit it hard. Probably what she's thinking. 2 3s and a king. Jade hits her pair of kings, but she is second to Philip. Eric also with his pair of kings. Nobody. Oh, looks like Billy's holding a 3. Billy's holding a 3, so he is up to triple 3s. But that ace just gave Jade a wheel. So we'll see how this pot goes. Now she checked it, a smooth check, waiting for someone else to bet. Eric does bet 100. Let's see if she goes for the smooth call or the check raise. Yeah, just a call. Just a call. She may be worried that her hand is vulnerable. I don't see Philippe getting anywhere away from this with his 2 pair. Oh, and he just improved to a boat. Yeah, I think if Jade had raised there, other players may have given her some respect, gotten out of the pot. She would have been able to take it down. But with that smooth call, that attempted trap, unfortunately, it trapped her. Now I think she knows she's no good. Yeah, Billy's got a house as... no, Billy does not have a house. You have to use 2 of your cards in your hand in order to make a 5-card hand. So Philip, aces full of kings. Man, you love to see it. And he does bet $685, just a full pot-size bet. I don't think anyone's going to call that. Jade certainly not able to make that weak call. That puts Philip up to $3K right now. Slate second place at $2.8K. Robert's still holding on pretty well, $825. But again, just one double up away from moving up a spot and really having a very, very significant chip stack. Of course, $825, not really much to laugh at. But when you're at the table and you're the short stack with that much, you know there's a lot of money on the table. And we are still going on that PLO. Looks like we got a straddle out there. Jade, unafraid Jade. Ready to make that $10 straddle. I think the longer these straddles go on, the looser these players will likely get. Philip, ace, queen, 6-5, suited ace. Jason holding 2 of the other queens. Does decide to get away from it. Not playing those queens. And Eric and Corey are both holding aces. Let's see if that may tie up all of the aces. Slate picking up, 2 pairs, kings and 5s. Almost double suited, too. Pretty nice. Now we got Chris in the studio now.
How's it going, everybody?
Looks like we are doing pretty good out here. It's action-packed cards, but admittedly timid play. Not a whole lot of re-raising going on out there right now just yet.
Give them 30 minutes or so.
Give them some time to warm up to each other.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And it looks like we got 3 diamonds on there, 2 10s on the board. Nobody's holding diamonds, though. And Slate, with his pair of kings, looks like he's the best right now. And almost certain to lock it up. As soon as Jade folds, he gets the check mark, and Eric folds as well. Yeah, not a lot of post-flop play. We haven't seen a lot of showdowns so far. But yeah, we are early in the game. Haven't seen our chip counts change up too much on us.
And we've got a few new players sitting down that I think people are probably trying to kind of feel them out a little bit and see where they are.
Playing some GTO poker out there right now.
I don't know if I go that far, but
ABC poker, we'll call it that.
there
Playing by
you
the
go.
book.
There you go.
Yeah, and it looks like the table dynamic is more a read-only dynamic than a telling the story.
Yep.
Let me hear what your story is, as opposed to let me tell you what my story is.
Philippe opens up with a big one.
Big hand under the gun, and he does decide to make the call. Interesting call right there. It's maybe a trap play. Maybe a trap play. I can get behind that.
Well, he's not suited, so I can see wanting to be just a little bit cautious there.
Sure. Slate locking up one of the other aces.
And the king.
And the other king.
There's the
And Ben's got another king as
third
well.
king. So there's only one king left in the deck.
Slim pickings to hit that ace or that king. We'll have to see what happens, what kind of magic this flop can bring. Yeah, I like Slate's hand, I think. Yeah, you hear our announcer in the background. Oh, there's a queen on the flop. 2 hearts. Nobody's holding hearts, but that queen may give Billy a little hope. He's got queen 6, making 2 pair.
Oh, but that 6, 7, 8, 9 is not going to go anywhere.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Slate with his up and down straight draw. And
Ben needs a 4 for the low end.
that's right. Billy improves to 3 pair with
Nope,
that deuce.
4 isn't going to get him there. Never mind. I take it back.
Yeah, watch out for that 4. And Slate is thinking hard with that $305 bet by Billy. I met Billy briefly before the game started. Very, very nice guy. But brutal at the poker table. Just brutal.
He is very hard to figure out when you're playing against him.
Yeah, you can never tell what he's staring at or what he's thinking.
He could be betting into you with the nuts or just a complete stone cold bluff.
Yep. This time he had a good hand. Far from the nuts, but the best hand at the table right there. Philippe able to get away from it too with those aces.
Yeah, those aces look real pretty in PLO pre-flop, but once the flop
hits, that changes everything.
Everything changes.
And it looks like we got tie for first place, 2.9K, Philippe and Slate right now. So a good profit so far. You know, we're just a couple of hands, maybe a dozen hands into the game so far. And we got a live straddle. I like when the players straddle. It really seems to loosen things up. And I was saying earlier when we switch from PLO to Hold'em back to PLO, that's when the players really kind of get cross-mogenated. They really start loosening up. So a couple of rounds to go. And we are really going to start seeing some fireworks. Now, is it a full moon outside?
I couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you. All right. Well, I was hoping somebody looked up. I couldn't tell you either. I was feeling some electricity out there. I thought maybe that's what it is.
Maybe so. I will say for a minute we thought we were going to get Greg Raymer to sit down at the seat. And
Oh,
he decided
man. Wouldn't that be interesting?
He didn't want to play ROE 10-handed, so he's sitting down at just a cash game playing some Hold'em right now.
Okay. So you heard it here. If you want to play some cash game Hold'em,
actually that
Greg
might be
Raymer.
him up in the very top corner of the screen.
Yeah, it looks like him. It looks like his.
Waiting for a seat somewhere, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Well, by the time you get out here, you may be sitting down with Greg Raymer. He may be at a table already. So come on, play with Greg Raymer. He is a super nice guy, and his demeanor is every bit what you would expect. He is the calmest. I don't even zen. I don't know how to say it. He's just a zen poker player.
Zen is a great way to explain it.
He really and he knows everything about the table as soon as he looks at it. He doesn't even have to sit down.
Yeah, he looked at this table and he said, "Nope, I'm not interested."
Said, nope.
I know better.
That is exactly what it is. Yeah, that's why I'm back here in the booth. I know better. I ain't gonna lose to these players. Ben 4-betting it. Pot size 4-bet, 675. That's gonna put Jason in a pretty tough spot. That pot is not small. And Jason already had about $200 out there, so he's not committed. I would not say committed, but if he's good enough to make a big raise like that, he's probably got a really good hand, though we can't see it right now. 4, 7, 5.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. He's double suited. That ace 9 and that queen 3. That flop's not helping Jason out much at all. Ben with his pair of kings still looking pretty good. Jason picks up a pair with that 9, but it's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, those kings over there in Ben's hand are
still doing work right now.
Yeah.
And I don't believe Jason even has a straight draw, if I'm not mistaken. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I know. He can't even make a straight, so he's really just trying to pair that ace. That would be about the only way. Although
or the queen. The ace, actually, the ace, the queen, or the 3 would give him 2 pair.
2 pair, that's what it is. That's why he's got so much equity. That makes sense. Ooh, an $800 bet out by Ben. I don't know if Jason is going to call. I went out on a limb and said I can't see Jason folding earlier, and he made the fold right away. So I'm not even going to try to guess. This is a whole other level compared to what I'm used to. That pot, $2.3 thousand. This is the biggest pot of the night so far, and by the end of the night, I'm sure you'll agree, this will pale in comparison.
Yeah, if we don't have a $6,000 pot tonight, I'll be surprised.
If we don't have a $6,000 pot, it's not poker at Kojak's.
And especially looking around at the faces at this table, these are players that like to play big.
Oh yes, oh yes. This is going to be a big game here, and we're only a half hour into it, and we're already up past that $2,000 mark. Oh, and Jason does make the call, and he's actually, if you calculate the pot odds, he's right on the money.
Right on the money.
He is right where he needs to be profitable. Let's see if he can maintain that profitability with this pot. Let's see what we got. Come on, River. Drum roll. Oh, it's a 5. Not the card either player was really looking for, but
Jason got the 2 pair, but not the way he wanted to.
That's right. Not the best 2 pair. And Ben with the check mark, that pair of kings is real strong, but real vulnerable.
Yep.
And it goes check on the river.
Just like the aces, those kings look real pretty pre-flop, and then as soon as that flop hits in PLO,
you never know. Especially with low cards like that, low connected cards.
Yep.
That could give just about anybody a straight. But Ben doing a good job pre-flop of getting a lot of players out of the hand so that he can maximize his chances of those kings holding up.
Absolutely.
And it looks like we're getting someone to add on. Now, we're doing the 70% rule. Now, it looks like Jason is about to add on. We're doing the 70% rule. So you can add on up to 70% of the big stack. It should be 2,800? 2,900?
Yeah, a little under 28.
A little under 28 with that
4,000 would be
3.9K.
28 even, so.
Oh, all right. My math ain't that bad. My mental math.
Pretty close there.
I swear I didn't pull out a calculator. And it looks like one of the final hands of this round of PLO. Now that Jason is adding on, see if we can't get a little extra action here. Robert with a fairly connected hand, one too many clubs. Under the gun, it's not a bad call. Let's see what that brings for the other players. Robert's out of there. Billy's out of there. Playing selective. This is probably the most selective I've seen these players at PLO. Slade picking up that ace queen 10 with 3 hearts. Not a bad hand either. Got a pretty fair amount of equity. Ben also with the ace queen.
Ben's double suited though.
Double suited. That
but ace queen 10 are all connected.
Right? He's got
Ben is connected twice, but I don't know. It's pretty close between the two of them.
Pretty close. Ooh, and Eric picks up the ace king. And he's double suited as well.
Suited.
So
that's where you want to be right there.
That is exactly. If you got too many of one suit, then that really just really limits your options. Yeah, it really hurts. And we got a Jack 9 tray out there on the board. Jason picking up a pair of 9s. Nobody. Oh, Eric with a pair of Jacks. Ooh, let's see. Did that give him 2 pair? Nope.
Oh, no, but Eric's got the flush draw now.
There we go. That's what we're waiting on. That's why that double suited is
and
so
the straight
powerful.
Draw.
Now,
Got the
Ben.
flush draw and the straight draw.
Ooh, there's a queen right there. Queen of clubs.
Queen
That is
two,
not a
Ben.
spade. Giving Ben 2 pair.
2 pair.
And not completing any of the flush draws. Would have been interesting, though. Eric with the king high flush draw and Ben with the ace high flush draw.
Yeah.
And Jade is going to go ahead and bet 100. Kind of a scary board. Especially if you're Ben only holding 2 pair right at the end. He may that bet may be good enough to get it out of there. Let's see if, and there is a call. Ben does make the call. He says his 2 pair is probably good. Especially, no offense, Jade, but you bet a lot.
Yep.
That's a good way to get a lot of callers, though. You know, when you do have it, that's a good way to maximize that profitability. And Ben adds a couple of greenies to those stacks of greenies over there. I like to see that. Nice castle that he's building. And Ben, wow, up to 4.1K. And close to doubling his initial buy-in there, 2.5.
Yeah, I don't think they got Jason's add-on.
Not quite yet. And it looks like they're tossing chips
looks like
over that
these-
way. Got a stack of 100s and 2 stacks of greens. So 2 plus
That's a little over 3,000.
a little over 3,000. That sounds about right. And he's smiling. Smiling like he's got a little over 3,000 in the stack. Robert is now under the gun for the, what is this, the penultimate hand? Is that what you call that? The second final hand of PLO?
Yep.
And he doesn't like his hand. He's going to get out of there. Always interesting to watch these PLO games when the players play every hand. It's more interesting from a strategic point of view, I think, to watch these players be a little more choosy. Slate, with that pair of 7s and a rainbow hand, decides probably 10. That sounds about right.
I mean,
10's good enough.
there's quite a bit of connectivity there. Just
Yeah.
no suitedness.
Suitedness. I like it.
Yep.
Suitedosity.
Exactly.
Suitedissimo.
You got Jade in there with 3 clubs.
3 clubs, fairly connected there. She's flop does not help her though. That flop Jack 7-4. Slate picking up
Slate's gotta like the
trips.
trip 7s.
Pretty good and fairly disguised there. Middle set right there.
Oh, it's PLO. There's no such thing as disguise.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, that's actually a really good point. And Ben making that call. Let's see what is Ben looking for. Ben, I guess, going for runner Broadway. And Eric looking for an ace. He can make a straight. Let's see if this turn helps anyone out. It's a 9. Actually does help. Eric does get up to a pair of 9s, but I don't think it really helps him other than that.
Ben
9,
picks
10
up
jack.
an 8.
Eric actually, I think, does have a straight draw.
8, 9, 10, yeah. Ben picks up a straight draw.
I think Eric's got a
8.
double gutter. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to read all these cards. Be patient with us at home. Ben makes a $300 bet with not a whole lot of equity. Slate's probably real happy to hear that with his set of 7s. Ooh, and the 5 of clubs does not complete any flush draws. Probably makes Slate feel really comfortable. But he's not comfortable enough to bet it. So it goes check, check right there at the end. And Slate picks up another one. You wouldn't know it. If you were to just look at his face after he wins a pot, you would have no idea that he just won a pot.
No clue. He just won
Slate face.
$500 in a pot.
That's more than I usually buy in. Not a bad pot to take down. It does put Slate in second position as far as the chip count goes. 3.3K. Ben up to 3.7 after not winning that pot. He's down below the 4K mark.
They got Jason's buy-in there.
Jason's
Up
buy-in
to
finally
$3,000.
showing up. You can see his leg right now. We got Jason's leg playing a pot. And this, I believe, is the final PLO hand. We'll switch back to 2 cards. The old Hold'em. Now, as a guy who watches a lot of Kojak's poker, do you notice a trend in popularity for PLO? Do you think it's heading to be possibly the?
I think I've noticed an uptick in round of each games. A lot of people they'll come in and start a Hold'em game, but by the end of the night, a lot of times it'll switch over to a round of each, which I think means that the PLO portion is growing in popularity. A lot of people are getting some experience with it that didn't have it before, and I know I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I like to sit down and play a little round of each and get some PLO experience without it costing me too much.
A little practice over there. Yeah, and I've noticed that online as well, too. It seems like the PLO tables are starting to fill up a little bit more. There's more of them in the lobbies and things like that. So it could be a sign of the times. We could be changing over from Hold'em to PLO. Oh, man, that was a fast hand right there.
Not a whole lot of action on that one.
Not a lot of action on that one. Not a whole lot of cards hitting either. Here we go. Oh, we got Greg Raymer in the studio here. A little starstruck. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. How's it going?
Not too bad. Not too bad. We were talking about your clinic that you put on Tuesday earlier.
Awesome.
And I was one of the members there. Feel like I learned a lot.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Got to get out and go deal some. You'll see me sitting in that dealer spot here in about half an hour.
There you go.
So,
All right.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for joining us.
Treat them
sir.
fair. That's all you can do.
That's right. So, how has your trip to Midland been so far, sir?
Well, great. I mean, everyone's nice.
Yeah.
The games are good.
We pride ourselves on our hospitality. It's good to know we're treating you well.
No, everyone's been fantastic. And I just wish my hand had sucked out here in the main event a few minutes ago. But I kind of got it in good, kind of didn't.
Sure. No, that's the game, I think, that we play, isn't it?
The first player raised. I went all in. He says he would have called, but Sean Rice called first. So I knew my ace-jack suited was not in good shape against Sean. He said he would have called with king-queen, and then the board came out 9-high. So it's like, I would have beat him. So I was right. But then someone behind me woke up with the better hand.
Well,
and that's I don't regret the choice. So let me see who we got here. So 3.8 on down to 800. And I'm gonna screw up names and all that stuff for sure. I might say something like seat 2 or seat 7, and you can then
sure
you can fill them in as to who's who, since I'll forget.
Well, that's all right. You're in the same boat I am. I alternate Philippe and Philip. So there's some question there as to pronunciation.
Well, then, plus I can't even see their faces, so even if I had a better memory,
right.
I definitely don't know looking down. I should have a cheat sheet or something, saying like, John in seat 1, Bill in seat 2, blah blah blah. But that's all right. I'll let you.
May be able to help.
I'll let you fix that.
Sure.
So your audience probably all knows, but like this on the button thing is new to me. This is the first club I have ever seen that instead of like small blind, big blind, just puts it on the button.
Real interesting, subtle change in strategy though. Because you're blind with the best position.
Exactly. It is create. Like defending your blind is way more correct.
Yeah.
Since you have position against everybody.
You end up playing 90% of your button hands,
To be honest, this system probably is really good for the bad players. Because bad players over-defend their blind in cash games. And now it's much more correct to defend. So they're making mistakes way less often than in the more traditional small blind, big blind scenario. Right. See, plus the straddles are under the gun. They're in bad position, which is, I don't like button straddles.
Sure.
So many places, they'll let you do a button straddle, and I think that's not good for the game, to be honest.
So on a button straddle, it's like a sleeper if there's a raise?
No, it's not at all. How they handle it varies a little bit, but like the home games I play in Raleigh, we'll be playing 5-5 blind PLO with button straddles of $10 to $50.
Okay.
So if you button straddle for $50, the small blind makes the first decision pre-flop, and they can fold, call the 50, or raise, and so on. So
Okay.
I think
yeah.
some places will skip the blinds, so your button straddle, the first decision would still be under the gun, and then if it comes around without like raises, the blinds act, and then the button. If there's already been a raise, they might say the button acts before the blinds or something like
I see.
that. But however they exactly handle it, it still means you're straddling with the best position.
Right.
And people will talk about like, oh, it's good for the game, it loosens things up. And I'm kind of like,
position.
I'm like, look, if the game is tight and the players are all fairly skillful, the problem with the button straddle is that the blinds are now have to be that much tighter.
Right.
Like defending my blinds is like, I'm first to act. Like if I call your button straddle, even if you button straddle for the minimum, let's say 10, I'm like, if I put in 5 more, it's like, I hate to fold for just 5 more, but if I know that there's likely to be a raise behind me and my hand isn't going to want to call that raise, I have to fold for 5 more.
Right.
And then if there isn't a raise, I'm like, well, I wish I'd called 5 more. And
It's only 5.
but if the players are good, solid players, a button straddle will actually tighten the game up.
I see.
Whereas under the gun straddles will loosen the game up always. So
Now, I'll tell you this. Jade plays an any 2-card strategy. So she's got probably the best hand she may have all night with the up and down straight draw currently.
well, everyone gets the same amount of aces and 7 deuces.
Over time, sure.
So, I mean, any 2 cards is obviously a mistake, but playing super wide, including a hand like King 10, is not. Because the fact that she plays such a wide range, now, like,
She's not
Ben
limited.
with Ace King is just sitting there going, like, what do I do here with no pair when she bets the turn? And if he hadn't banked the river, if it had just been another
Right.
low card, if she fires again on the river, he's in a really, really tough spot.
Especially with the third heart coming off as well. I mean,
Yeah,
she's
but just
not,
anything that doesn't improve his Ace King, now he's just in this pure guessing game. So that's the advantages of playing such a huge wide range, is that you can really put people to the test, because it's hard to make a big hand in Hold'em. Since we're not playing Omaha right, Omaha's so different because it's
Indeed.
it's hard for the opponent to have just nothing. Whereas in Hold'em here, like, he didn't have nothing with Ace King, but since he had no pair, if he misses the river and he checks and she makes any kind of reasonable bet, like it's a 1.5k pot, if she bets 600-700 even, he's just sitting there going like, am I paying her off?
Right.
Or is she, he can only beat bluffs, and he might lose to some of those because maybe she was going all this way with pocket 2s.
Right.
And now he pays her off, and she's like, oh, shoot, you got me. And then he turns over Ace King, and she's like, oh, wait.
Oh, wait a second. I have a pair.
Like, I do have a pair. I didn't think you'd call me with Ace High. So, it's not that being super, super loose is the correct strategy, but there are benefits. And if you can read the opponent super well, and you can really gauge well when you can bluff them and when you can get them to pay you off,
And Billy picking up the pocket aces.
Yeah, obviously.
You talk about the ability to read other players.
Yeah,
That's one of the situations you really need to. Oh, against Ben's pocket jacks too. Now Jade's holding what we call the Charlie, the 5 tray. You may have heard about that in the clinic. That's Charlie's favorite hand. He always bets me that that's going to be the winner by the end of the hand.
Well,
I've made about $40 on that bet. $5 at a time.
I used to say, it's not that I played it no matter what, but over 20 years ago, I used to say it was my favorite hand because I just had several scenarios over a period of a few months where it's like I've played 5-3, like tried to bluff the turn. I hit like a 4 in the gut to make a straight, and then my opponent somehow has pocket 4s.
Yeah.
So
Man.
it's like, oh, I'm trying to steal on the button with 5-3, and then they call, and then it comes deuce 6 king, and they call, and then the 4 comes, and not only does it give me the nuts, it gives them a set.
Gives them a set. So
And I won several huge pots, so I refer to it as my favorite hand. But I still hardly ever played it.
You're in good company then, I guess.
You know, so it's not like I'm played it in every position no matter what. I just like stealing on the button, you know, like if, and back then people were so bad. We're talking like over 20 years ago, well before the poker boom, and
Right.
so many people were so bad at poker that and they were so easy to read, so many, you know, so you like knew when they were going to fold. And it's like, well, he's not going to fold, don't bluff. But he's not going to fold, I can do a thin value bet. So if people are easy to read, or you're just amazingly good at it, then those are your biggest winners in cash games by far, and tournaments. But
now, have you noticed a big change since you know, the solvers have started working, and you know, people have been studying those?
I don't know if I would say there's been a big change since the solvers came about, but there's been just a big change overall over the years. This average skill level back before the poker boom was just so much lower. And it wasn't, you know, we didn't have those solvers back then in 04, 05, 06, but we had a lot more players taking advantage of computerized tools.
Sure.
So things like PokerStove did exist.
Right.
And so, yeah, PokerStove isn't a solver, but in some ways I like PokerStove better because you know exactly, you know, what you're inputting and what the answer means. The problem I see with solvers for some players is they look at a solver output and maybe it sees, the computer says, oh, you should be raising with this hand. And they don't interpret that properly because, okay, the computer might say you should usually raise with this exact hand, but there's some hands close to it that maybe the computer is telling you to fold. And so, like, why is it telling me to raise with this hand? You know, and that's the thing. The solvers don't have a reason. They do not.
Right,
they don't. They don't.
Purely
There's no
numbers.
why
Yeah.
to what they're doing. They are saying we've gone through these strategies and tried everything, and we've decided this is the correct strategy. But there is no logic or reasoning behind it. It's been number crunching to get to a, you know, oh, with this hand you call 20%, raise 80% or whatever.
And
But it's like,
completely-
why 20-80? Why not 30-70? Why not 60-40?
25-75.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this particular blend of these 2 or 3 options? So you still need to be a good enough player to kind of interpret things well. So I'm not saying don't use solvers, but I'm saying if you don't really have a great knowledge right now, buying a solver and trying to use it won't be enough. You need something else, like whether it's coaching or advice from friends who, you know, are good enough to be paid coaches, because otherwise you are not going to be able to figure it all out.
And it completely neglects the human element as well, you know, because you're never going to be playing against computers.
True.
You're only playing against humans.
That's true, but like that was something we talked about in the seminar, is the difference between GTO and what, you know,
GTE.
I refer to as GTE. So GTO is game theory optimal. That's what the computers are doing. They do not take into account that Jade plays a wide range.
Right.
They don't take into account that, like, Tight Tom, you know, has this super tight solid range. It's going to play each of them exactly the same. So it ignores the opponent and whatever they might have done in the past. But like you mentioned, there's a lot more money to be made from the GTE, and that's also when we were talking about reading players.
Right.
If you are reading somebody, then you are, you know, that's the ultimate GTE. You're not just saying, like, here are the stats I have, like from a HUD when you play online, a heads-up display that says that Jade's VPIP is 60% and Tight Tom's VPIP is 13%. That's important and useful information. But if you can read in the moment and know the difference as to, like, oh, when is Jade bluffing and when is she not? When is, even if Tight Tom almost never bluffs, if you can sense on those rare occasions he does, now you're making the correct hero call that basically the HUD would say, never make this call against him because of his stats. So that's
There's a lot more
Yeah.
perception, I think, involved in the.
Yeah, so as you say, and you do make a lot more money from playing the player than you do from just playing the
cards.
GTO.
Yeah.
But you know, this was all like when online poker became bigger and bigger, you can't play the player so much. Other than like the stats from a HUD, you can't play the player and you can't put a read on them. You can't
Right.
say this guy's on tilt.
Right.
I mean, you lose a huge pot online. I might think you could be on tilt the next hand, but for all I know, you're multi-tabling and you didn't even notice this bad beat
That's
because
very
you're
true.
playing 10 tables at once. Like
Very true.
you put it in, you lost, but you were like overplaying the other tables. You didn't even notice that result, so you're not tilted at all.
Right. Billy picks up a pair of queens here. Under the gun +3, that common nomenclature there for the scene.
Yeah. And Jade calls very correctly with fives, like set mining.
Sure.
Philippe 3-bets though, and he just calls with the queens. So either Philippe has a reputation of being tight, and Billy's being careful, or he's slow playing.
Now Billy has been told to me as by many different people that he could be the best player at this club, and a lot of people who sit across from him just cannot tell what he's thinking. So your guess much better than mine, but it
Yeah, I
could be a
guess
combination.
Well, see, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, he's out of position with his queens,
Sure.
you know. So I think he's trying to induce bluffs, as opposed to probably like, oh, I'm
More a trapping.
rather than like I'm concerned I'm beat, so I'm just gonna check call.
Mm.
That was probably more of a like I'm pretty sure I'm ahead, but I don't think they're gonna pay me off with a worse hand.
Right. That's possible
So
too.
let's induce a bluff instead. And again, I played with Jade a bit the other night. Philippe is which? Okay, yeah, he's there in the it was like the 5-6 seat, the plaid, blue plaid.
This
I
straight.
played with him as well too, and hard for me to have a line on him because he played very different early in the game, and then he won some huge pots and was way up, and now he changed
Shifting gears.
a lot. He went the other way though. Like he didn't like, oh, I have a ton of chips, let's go for it. He like, let's tighten up, protect my lead.
Interesting. Hmm.
Bunch of big hands.
A bunch of big hands. We've just been seeing big hand after big hand. Eric with the pocket kings, Jason with the ace king, Jade with the ace quisha.
Eric's gonna make a big raise. Yep. Played with him last night too, and he seemed like he was one of like more on the solid tight side.
Solid, yeah.
Like I don't see him like getting in there screwing around with. Like he was never gonna raise in this spot with oh king jack because maybe I can bully you guys.
Right. And the way the table's been playing tonight is a little bit more
Jason's
conservative.
in a really tough spot though with ace king suited.
Yeah, that is.
It's kind of like that's one of those. You're in one of these spots where you. I'm surprised Eric 4-bet so small.
I think
be
these players
honest.
have a lot of history, and I think Eric and Jason have played together a lot, so
Yeah.
trying not to set off as many alarm bells as possible. Could be
Well, and he could be taking the stack size isn't because
very true.
since Eric's stack isn't that big, what he in other words, if he makes his normal re-raise size here and makes it like let's say 550, 600 or more, he's kind of saying, given his stack size, that I'm committed. If you go all in, I'm not folding. So by making
Right,
it this
right.
425, he's leaving room for Jason to think that
Yeah.
he'll fold. But the fact that he's not snap calling changes my mind about that.
And he did push forward a raise, too.
So he did call, but he's not happy about it.
yeah,
So Jason raised enough to put him all in. Eric, see, I would have expected him to snap call with that sizing.
Sure.
But that would be the whole point of the 425, to
Ooh.
me, is to. I don't know if anyone.
almost all
He had ace
spades.
king of diamonds, so.
Eric actually turns his kings into a flush.
But I was kind of expecting a snap call there, like I've done this on purpose, and that's like more relevant in a tournament because in a cash game you don't get a lot of these spots where it's all pre-flop.
And we're going to take one quick break. We'll see you guys in just a second. And we're back here. We've got Greg Raymer in the booth. We are watching Round of Each here at Kojaks on Saturday night. Hope everybody's having a good time. Seen some big hands here lately, but not a whole lot of action after the flop. Looks like Ben's got the Jack 10 right now. Decides to make a call from Slate's raise. Jason 3-bets the King Queen of clubs. Now, if clubs were to come out, that would be disastrous for Jason. He is crushed by Slate's suited ace of clubs.
But instead he gets the perfect flop here.
Instead he gets the rainbow flop.
He has to just fade a gut shot and one overcard to hold up here with his top pair. And you always wonder about tilt and stuff. If King Queen suited is obviously a good hand, so it's but if he had something really cheesy there to raise with pre-flop, that would be a signal that maybe he's on tilt. Like maybe there's some tilt going on there, but there's no reason to suspect that yet.
Not yet. But you see the way he's chewing his gum real fast. That could be a sign. Tension is starting to heat up here. And we got tied first and second place at 4K. Ben and Billy at 4K. Now, most of these players bought in for 2.5K, so that shows a pretty good profit so far. We're only on hand 27 so far. This is the second round of PLO that we're just beginning here.
Yeah, I mean, being tied right now for the big stack doesn't mean anything because if you bought in for 20K,
A little different.
I remember playing a cash game years ago. I used to play before I won the main event, my main cash game was 75-150 mix at Foxwoods. And usually people buy in for 5 or 10,000. And one guy who was one of the regular contributors in the game had like 45,000 on the table, and then he left the game for a while to play baccarat or something. And I made a comment to someone else, like I was the newest player at the table, had joined the game most recently, and I made a comment while he was away to someone else about how he seems like he's doing really good tonight. And that guy looks at his stack, like counts it for a while, and it's like, yeah, I think he's almost back to even. So I was like, oh my God, because he never would buy in for more than 10,000 at a time. It's a limit game, so you can buy in for $1 billion if you want. Because who cares how much? Right. It's a limit. Yeah. Like you can only bet, 150 on the river. That's all you can make me call to get to showdown, and so you don't care how much chips the guy has on the table. And so I'm like, oh my God! So he was in this game for 45,000. He's gotten even.
Oh man! Man, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, there was him and 3 other guys who, between them, were probably losing $2 million a year into that game. And I usually played poker. I was still a full-time lawyer, so I was like 2 nights a week. Basically, I played poker. I usually came Tuesday night when they had no limit hold'em tournament, and then I would come in Friday or Saturday, and I'd play that mixed game.
Wow, man, I guess it's not still going. Not that I could get a seat anyway, but if they're spreading $2 million around at a time.
Well, throughout the whole year, the 4 of them combined were losing that much. So.
Now this is our first chop pot of the night, which I can only assume happens more often in PLO than it does in Hold'em.
Oh yeah, of course. Especially when the nuts is a straight.
Right.
Obviously chop pots happen way less often. When it's 1 pair, 2 pair.
Right.
Because there's always room to bluff. If I have 1 pair on the river in PLO and I bet, I'm bluffing.
Yeah.
Even if I have the best hand, I in my mind I'm bluffing.
Right. Very true. And Billy takes that pot down. He is up at the chip lead now, 4.1K. That's still a lot of money to me. Maybe I'm.
It's a lot of money for pretty much.
Still new to the game.
There were stories about Bill Gates. He'd be in Vegas during the CES, the big convention, back before the poker boom, and when he was the richest man in the world, and he sits down to play some poker because he apparently enjoyed poker, and he's in the 3-6 limit hold'em game. and Doyle, Brunson, Chip Reese, those guys are trying to talk him into playing the bigger game with them, and he's just like, no, I'm not interested. Like, you guys are better than me. Like, I'm not going to win. Why would I want to go to that game? The fact that he could lose 50 times what anyone had ever lost in the bigger game, and he would still not notice.
Be the richest man, yeah.
Yeah, it's like he wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
He just had no interest in, like, well, why do I want to go play a game I'm going to lose? Like, not because you guys are cheating or anything else.
Right,
just
right.
because you're just better.
Just
You're
not confident.
You are all, each one of you individually is way better than me at this
management.
game. So,
That's
like,
what
why
it
do
is.
I, I'm just trying to have a little fun. And that's the thing. If he's the big winner in, like, a 300, 600 game, instead of, winner in the 3-6 game, what's the difference to him? Like, if he wins $100 or $100,000, he won't notice the difference.
Very true. Yeah, if you're doing it just for fun, might as well do a game that you
Yeah.
can win. Let me ask you this: you've been around a while. Who's the most famous or the most fun player that you've played against that was not in the poker circles? Maybe like a celebrity or a Bill Gates type.
I mean, no one's like immediately popping into my head. I mean, like, I've played with Jason Alexander, and he's just a super nice guy
Yeah.
who's fun to be around. Played some tournaments with Norm Macdonald back
R.I.P.
like that last summer before COVID hit. Like, we both bagged day 2 of one of the bracelet events together, and he's a fun guy, and he always has funny stuff to say. But there's plenty of people who are fun to play with. You just don't know who they are, but
Sure.
they're still interesting to have at the table. Their conversation's interesting, or they have lots of amusing, funny stuff to say.
One of my favorite things to watch was, I think it was the Celebrity Poker Showdown or something like that, when Norm Macdonald played, and he took somebody's chips in the very first hand because the other guy didn't know what he was doing, and Norm's just deadpan with his sunglasses on. It was such a good clip. Such a good clip.
Mm-hmm. So
Looks like we've got pretty fair hand for Jade, I would say. Learn
it looks
the
like
term straggler.
Ben raised to 20, I guess, and no,
Ben, I think, straddled, and then Jade.
but it only looks
Double
like
straddle?
$10. I think the 20 is a mistake because it looks like there was a $10 straddle because our graphics keep saying
Very, very, very well
it's
could be.
unclear to me.
Well,
But we still have 6 players
6
in, so
in, all for 20.
this is one of the spots where a lot of players really screw up PLO. 6 people see the flop, like, like thinking that you want to call someone down after you flop 2 pair or something is probably a huge mistake. Looks like one of my fossils on the table there.
Yeah, it does.
There in front of is it Slate in C3?
Yep, that would be Slate.
Like he had one of my fossils from the seminar or something. But or even here, like the pocket kings that just folded. I mean, that's not one pair, just isn't.
Right.
Whereas if you and I take a flop heads up, depending upon the pre-flop action, now I can easily think, that certain hands that really aren't that strong for Omaha are still probably the best hand. But
And then you go up against the flush, and you realize.
Well, just 6 people see a flop. You generally, you're looking for hands that are nutted or drawing to the nuts.
Right.
You're not looking to like, someone's kind of loose. I'm gonna call with bottom 2 pair. Like,
No, hand strength must increase as the number of players increases.
yeah, much more so than Hold'em. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's still true in Hold'em, of course, but it doesn't ramp up as quickly. When I teach PLO, it is like you have heads up, you have shorthanded, which is exactly 2 other people, and then everything else is multi-way. And you should probably be, thinking about, again, you're not looking to play hands that are not like, if they're not drawing to the nuts, then they have what is almost certainly, the best hand at the moment.
Now, have you noticed an uptrend in PLO popularity? Do you think that's going to become the dominant poker variation anytime soon?
Oh, no, I don't. I
No,
don't know. I mean,
it's
there
slowly
might be a
evolving.
little bit of an uptick, but it's not. I mean, Hold'em is just easier and quicker.
Yeah.
And if I'm running the poker room, so we got some action here.
Pretty good hands. Yeah, we've finally seen a 3-bet pre-flop.
So I feel like the numbers are wrong still too. Like, wasn't there like a $10 straddle? How could you 3-bet to 40?
You know what? You're right. That may be just a raise to 40.
I mean, you could have had a raise to 20 and a 3-bet to 40, but that would be odd.
That would be odd. Yeah.
Um,
Got the old. Oh, there's the third spade right there. Slate making the flush. Not a high flush, so you got to think. My hand's vulnerable.
Like he's, you should never be excited with any flush that isn't the nuts.
Right.
I mean, you may not choose to fold it ever, depending upon who the opponent is.
Sure.
But you are definitely crying call at best when it's non-nuts.
Yeah.
So
especially-
Jade tried to bluff the turn, and then looks like she gave up on the river, and he just checked it back
Checking it
because,
back.
like, that's the thing too. Even there, let's say he, given his opponent, whoever it is, oh, I'm like 90% certain I have the best hand. But if they're going to fold 90% of the time when you have the best hand and then call or raise the other 10%, then there's no point in betting.
Yeah. If they're not going to pay you off, then why risk the money, right?
I mean,
you always say
it's not a question of just how likely am I to have the best hand. It is how likely am I to have the best hand when I get called.
you risk the minimum when you're trying to make a play, right?
And that is a big mistake that some players make, because they're like, well, I was really confident I had the best hand. I'm like, but what worse hand's going to pay you off?
Right.
Like, if you're when you bet the river, there's only two thoughts. Will I get a better hand to fold? Will I get a worse hand to call? Those are the only two things to even think about.
Right. That's the gist of a bluff and the gist of a value bet, right there.
Exactly. There's no like, well, I'm denying equity. Well,
Right.
it's all spades. Like in Hold'em, people think excitement. Ooh,
Yeah.
like we got 3 spades or whatever.
Right.
But in Omaha, it's kind of like
It's
anyone
scary.
who doesn't have the nut flush is not excited.
Right. Yeah, Robert made a flush,
Robert
but-
had the 6 high, but now the board's paired, and he's just
Right.
and now he's drawn dead to Jade. Or I guess he's not drawn dead. If a 6 came, if a 6 came on the river, he could get there.
Yes, that is true.
But so he's not drawing dead, but it's not like, oh, I mean, if I'm ahead, sure, I'm in great shape, but if I'm behind, I have 2 outs or 0 outs.
Right.
So it's just not a spot.
And how many other players are holding one of my 2 outs that I may have,
Well, that I don't even think about,
Really?
because unless there is some reason to put people on those cards, then it doesn't matter whether, I mean, I've had people say, well, but they've already dealt out over half the deck. Like I don't have that many outs in the stub. I'm like, yes,
But how do
you
know?
have fewer outs in the stub, but the stub is now smaller.
Right, right.
So you are more likely
to hit if it's in
to hit in that sense. And so since you can't differentiate, like if it was Hold'em with 3 spades and now a bunch of people, there's a bet and 2 or 3 calls, you might think, oh, each of them might have a high spade.
Right. Okay.
Now you might take that kind of information into account to adjust the odds a little bit. But, here, I mean, we could have had everyone flop a flush, but if none of them were better than like 3rd or 4th nut flush, then they might all just be checking it down, hoping that I hope this is the best hand.
Yeah, I experimented for a while. You may think this is silly. I'd love to have your input on this. When I was calculating my outs or my my equity, I would just subtract 1. If I was a 4-outer, I would call that a 3-outer. In order to evaluate whether my call or my raise or whatever was proper in that moment.
And what was the reasoning for that adjustment?
Just to go as conservative as possible in calculating those kinds of things.
Now, I'll disagree with that because
Okay.
I don't want to be conservative. I want to just be as dead on accurate as I can
Okay.
be, and then make whichever decision I think has the highest equity for me. So
Okay.
here another like
I'll stop doing that.
like these, like this flop again and Hold'em. People are like ooh,
Ooh,
and I'm like,
look at that.
but unless like at least someone has a 10 and
Right.
someone has pocket kings, like you're not going to get action.
And even Billy doesn't feel, I'm sure, very good about his house.
Yeah, now
two's
that he
full.
made deuces full, he's just, let's see the river let's get the showdown cheap
Right.
and see if it's any good. Now, after they all check to him,
He may bet, yeah.
he might bet here because at this point he's like, and again, he's not bluffing. He's hoping someone with just a 10 will pay him off. And he'd have probably been even more likely to bet if the river had made a straight possible, or a flush
yeah.
possible, because now someone can pay him off with those hands.
Right, right.
Kind of like, oh, we all check to you. Maybe you're bluffing and have nothing, and therefore, when the 9 on the turn or the river came and my queen jack straight might be good, or if it was the club on the river, if it's 3 of clubs on the river, he's more likely to get paid off.
Yeah, that crying call you mentioned
and Eric
earlier.
called with just a king, and Billy's going to win. So that's, yeah, so he was going for thin value there, I guarantee
Right.
you. But in other spots, you'd be bluffing, trying to get someone off of, like 10s full or 3s full, because they maybe are going to put you on kings full.
Right.
And you shouldn't expect that unless you know the opponent.
Yeah.
I don't try to get people to fold full houses even in PLO.
Yeah.
If I think you have a full house, I don't try to represent a better full house.
Smart. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen too
Yes,
often.
it doesn't work out well.
sounds like you might be speaking from early experience.
But I'm less likely to bluff in general. I find I get paid off a lot. So there would definitely be spots, like I do private lessons on Zoom. And there are plenty of spots where I would tell my students, you should bluff here. But I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because I find that I get called way more than, let's say, someone else who fits my general profile, like, middle-aged, male. So if someone was going to, fold to your bet, you're younger than me, but still,
Yeah.
you fall in that broad category. Let's say a middle-aged, white guy.
We're a couple of good-looking guys over here.
They might be tremendously more likely to fold to you on the river than they would to me. If they don't know you
Right.
and they don't know me, like they know who I am, but let's say they haven't played with me before, they don't really know my game, personally. I just find people don't like to fold to me. So I will tell my students to bluff in situations where I wouldn't. But I'll also go for thin value bets where I would tell them to just check it back and get to showdown.
That's that GTE we were talking about earlier. The correct strategy may be for one person completely different than what it is for another person.
Ooh, Jade's got trips
Jade.
with overcards.
Jade and a flush draw.
She is in fantastic shape against Slate. Slate's drawing almost dead, and
Wouldn't a 7 be nasty right here?
yeah, that's it.
That would be
7 is
nasty.
it for him. If he hits the 10, that's no good. If he
Jade does go ahead and bet.
another deuce on the river, it's no, so he's got 2 outs, and that's it.
Right.
But this is the kind of spot where you're just like, against someone like who, assuming what you said is true, and she's, super loose aggressive, you feel like, man, she doesn't need to beat my pair of 7s to be betting.
Right.
It's like just 2 of us, so a lot of the very, very best players out there are super loose and aggressive. But the trick is them being able to read the opponent and know when the bluff will work and when to get the thin value.
It's not unchecked aggression. It's very calculated aggression,
Yeah.
it seems like.
It is, exactly. It is not, if you're just randomly aggressive, then that's pretty hopeless. You're just spewing chips and trying to get lucky. But if you are good enough at reading the opponents and knowing, okay, this is a good spot to bluff, or this is a spot where they will pay me off with their, mediocre hand.
And able to make those folds, too, when you have a great hand
Exactly.
that you know it's beat.
Well, I'm not big on folding great hands, but, knowing when to fold the medium hands.
Yeah.
And, when not to, call down because you think they're bluffing. I'll also see players who are just like, oh, I was sure you were bluffing, and they've called with a hand, and I'm like, some or maybe even a lot of my bluffs would have beat that hand.
Yeah.
So, why are you calling with that?
I was like, Billy's picked up a pair of kings there. Not a great hand.
No, not a
Even
great
with the
hand at
kings.
all, because it's king 8 deuce. It's uncoordinated. His whole hand is basically kings, and then the second nut flush draw for hearts. The deuce is utterly useless.
Right.
One of the things we did PLO for part of the seminar, and that was something I talked about, was having a dangler.
Right.
So if he had king like 8-7 with the 7 of diamonds, now he has a pretty good starting hand. He's got the two, neither are the nuts, but he's got two good flush draws, and the kings and so on.
Right.
Well, Jason has a good hand, but these are just okay aces. The 9 and the 8 are connected, and one of them suited, so those aren't great aces. But any aces, anytime you have two aces in your hand, it's probably worth playing. The question, though, is how to play it.
Sure. Yeah. Once that flop hits, like you were saying, changes everything.
Like, now Jade's hand is pretty horrible
Yeah.
because it's all one suit.
Right.
Like, it's not only does she not have the nut spades, but she is blocking her own. So when she flops a spade draw, she is blocking her own draw.
Right.
So that's a hand I 100% would have folded every time. And Ben's hand is way better than Jade's, but it's still not great. Now that's a great flop for Ben's
Sure.
hand. He's picked up, the draws. He's got the semi-wrap there, 5, 6, 8.
Uh-huh.
The jack as well. So I mean, he's actually got like a full wrap basically. Every card from
Helps him, yeah.
from 5 on up, except for the jack, makes his hand.
Ooh, but he gets a queen instead on the board on the turn.
Yeah. And this is, and Jade also has draws. And this is now where, again, that loose aggressive player can potentially take over. So Ben is, like, you guys showed weakness on the flop. I'm going for it here with my big draw, and I just don't think either of you has a queen. And the fact that it's rainbow is good because no one can have a flush draw. So
Right,
they're
right.
not calling you with
Ruling
that.
that out.
So he can now just say, like, there's a really good chance this bet's getting through if no one has a queen.
Yep. Bearded Ben sure does. It
So
does. It gets
that's-
through.
That's a very good spot, for him to bluff because it just doesn't seem likely anyone has a full house. Trapping on the flop and stuff is not usually a good way to play PLO. Like if you had flopped top set of queens there, it's like pretty much every card on the turn that doesn't pair the board makes a straight possible.
Right. Right.
So now you're giving a free card that beats you so often
Yeah.
that slow playing a big hand just usually is wrong. And so if he knows that like Jason isn't going to slow play, if like Jason was the pre-flop raiser with aces, but he might have raised with a variety of hands that featured 2 queens, but he's probably not checking back the flop with a
Yeah.
set of queens or any of the other 2 sets that were possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't put any of them really on a set here. And so that's a great spot for Ben to bluff. He's like, there's a good chance it gets through, and if it doesn't get through, I have a ton of outs on the river.
Sure. A whole nother street to make the hand.
So we got some pretty. We got a
Oh,
top
there we
set
go.
there for Robert, and
Straight
is
off
that
with
is
the
that
kings.
is that all hearts on the flop or not?
I believe a diamond.
Couldn't quite make it out.
Oh,
I
it
don't
is
know,
all
all
hearts.
hearts. So yeah, top set, and you're just like
There it
praying.
is.
You're just praying
You're
with
praying
it.
that Eric is not holding. But even then, like
well, it's not like Eric loves his hand.
Right.
I mean, it was Jade who bet with her 6-eye flush.
and Jade actually has the straight flush draw right there. If
Yeah.
nobody's holding the 7. Or the deuce, I suppose. Or the deuce of hearts.
Jade's betting again, and I like her chances of getting Eric to fold
Yeah.
because he's just like, if I call this, then that means I think she's bluffing, and I have to call again on the river.
Sure.
So do I really want to do that? Do I want to have to call 200 now, and then I'm going to be calling probably 400 or 500 on the river,
It looks like
and
you
I
did right.
and I only beat pure bluffs, really. Well, I don't know why
Yeah.
Slate was still in there.
Slate likes his 2 pair. He's drawn to a boat. That's what it is.
4-5, drawing to
Drawn to a boat.
I mean, even if he's drawing live, it's 4 outs.
Yeah,
it's a pretty horrible call.
I don't expect him to stick around.
Sorry, buddy, but that's a pretty horrible call. It was a bad call on the flop. It's a worse call on the turn.
And he looks like he's Hollywood maybe a little bit.
And
About to get out of
Robert is in the tougher spot
Mhm.
because, see, also now he's basically pot committed
Right.
there. If he doesn't fold, he really he's only got 140 left.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be priced in. Now he's like,
Now he made
Now
it. He
he's-
made it.
God.
Wow, what a great river there for Robert. And now, yeah, I was about to say, now were the positions reversed? Do you think Robert should check there and wait for Jade to?
I
Put
don't
them all
know.
in, or-
And they'll get slates rewarded.
Yeah.
Because Robert folded, he was drawing live,
Right.
and he hit the 4 outer. So he gets, he has to have everything go his way.
Yeah.
And
And it did.
oh wait, no, I got the players mixed up. I thought he had the 4-5. He has kings full.
Yeah, King's full. Yeah.
No, I thought the kings folded. I got the players all
Oh,
backwards.
actually, you're right. Yeah, Slate would have made a different house. He would have made 4s.
I know. I confused which player was which. I thought this was Slate over here in the 9 seat.
Slate's 3.
Yeah, so I screwed
Yeah,
up
Slate-
all my commentary is wrong.
No. We'll
I
start,
thought
rewind
the
tape.
pocket kings folded, not the 4-5. I thought the 4-5 called and the pocket kings folded.
No.
And if the pocket kings had folded, the 4-5 would have won. Would have won now
It
with the
would've.
pocket kings gone.
Yeah,
But
that river card. If you were Slate with the 4-5.
yes,
And then
so
turn-
my commentary was all wrong because I misread the action. For some reason I thought pocket kings folded. Sorry guys. Sometimes I'm an idiot.
Hey, we all make mistakes. So that
And
comment you made about
This
Slate
is where I'm gonna
still
make
stands.
my mistakes. When I don't have any money on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna try to make all my mistakes now.
And
So
by the law of averages too, it's better to make the mistakes here because then you'll have the opportunity to not make mistakes later. 'Cause that doesn't hold true, right? If you have not made a flush 5 times when you've been drawing, then the next one you still have the same odds of.
if you think
not
that's
making the
true,
flush.
then you're just that bad a player, or you're just that bad at math. One of my favorite scenes in Vegas that I've caught a handful of times over the years is I'm walking through a casino. You see 2 people that are clearly together, like whether it's 2 buddies or a couple, and they're arguing with each other at the roulette table.
Yep.
And you notice on the tote board that
It's
the
all
last
black.
6 spins have been red.
Yeah.
And one of them's arguing about how we have to bet on red is hot. And the other one's like, you're an idiot, we have to bet black is due. And they're calling each other idiots, and I'm just chuckling to myself as I walk by because I'm like, yeah, you're both idiots. The fact that you guys think one of you is right means you're both idiots.
Right.
As they say that, that little ball and that spinning wheel don't have memory.
Yeah.
They, are inanimate. They are unaware that it's been red 6 times in a row, and so they're just going to go where they go.
Still a coin flip. Still a coin flip, or less than a coin flip for either one.
All right. Well, we're back to Hold'em, so
Back to 2
a
cards.
lot easier to read hands.
That is true. Thank God.
So the 9-10 is Billy's playing his gut shot and his aggression, and it worked.
Yep. And he's got that flush draw.
Yeah, bluffing is, going to be a much bigger part, correctly be a bigger part of a good player's arsenal in Hold'em. Because now it is hard for people to make big hands.
Yes.
So,
Well, and that's something I think the human dynamic of a player switching from PLO to Hold'em will kind of get cross-mogenated. All these big hands have come up in the last round of PLO, and now that we
Yes.
switched over to two cards, now you're just guessing that everybody else has big hands as well.
yeah. And also, like I said, people will fail to adjust.
Right.
Bottom 2 pair on the flop in Hold'em is usually a huge hand.
Pretty good, yeah.
And in PLO, it is just garbage. Or typically garbage the vast majority of the time. And so for you to play those hands at all in a similar way is horribly bad.
Sure. Large mistake.
So we had the straddle and the re-straddle, and then Jason's making it 75 with King Jack off, which is kind of meh. I don't like
yeah.
it or hate it. It really depends upon things like his image, how he expects the table to react, things like that. So it's either, way too loose, or it's very appropriate depending upon the human factors. Since I'm not at the table and don't know what's going on with him and how they feel, now of course the question is how aggressive is he going to keep being? Because if he, and Corey's being tricky.
Yeah,
he's like
trap
kick
action.
a little something. He's unlucky though. Corey needed he needed the king or jack.
Right.
See now though he's got a run out where it's hard for him to
even
make
that
much money.
Bet. Even that $25 bet, even if it gets called, it's still not much money.
Yeah, I mean it's just hard for him to and if Jason goes bam and raises to 200, Corey's going to be crying call.
Yeah.
So that's one problem with slow playing, is that you are running out of cards. You're running. I mean, you got 3 rounds of betting there. The flop, turn, river.
Right.
If you check the flop, you can only get 2 streets of value.
Sure.
That's one reason not to slow play. I mean, the other is that, unless it was a king, queen, or jack on the turn, it was going to be a card that looked bad to Jason. So of all the cards on the deck that come on the turn, most of them do not make Jason more inclined to put chips in the pot. They're going to make him less inclined. Especially an ace comes. He's like, well, I can represent an ace, but if I bet this ace and you don't snap fold, then I'm
then you're screwed.
then I'm done with the hand.
Yeah.
And Jason probably isn't putting any more money in after that. So it's one of those things that I'm not a big fan of slow playing in Hold'em, because I just feel like the next card is way more likely to make your opponent like their hand even less than it is to hit them and give them a hand they're going to pay you off. So I'm not worried at all when I slow play about the concept of how many outs might my opponent have? Am I giving them a free card to hit their 2 outs, their 5 outs, whatever it is? That's not really the issue when you. The best reason for Corey to slow play that flop would have been Jason's aggressive in general, and if I check back this flop, he's going to bluff the turn regardless. So that would be the reason.
And when that doesn't happen,
slow play,
you should reevaluate. I assume on the turn, try to maybe build a pot.
On the turn, he definitely should have been betting there, because it's how am I going to win the max if I check again?
If there's no max.
It's not like I'm going to check the turn and I make quads on the river and Jason's going to just say, yeah, I'm all in. Here's several $1,000, 2.4K.
Yeah.
I'm all into this $200 pot. Now, if you had an opponent who tended to do that kind of crazy stuff, that would be. Then I would say, okay, Corey, that was a good check back.
Yeah, a maniac.
Because this guy likes to just say, I like to bluff and value bet for all my chips.
Yeah.
Regardless of the size of the pot. That would be.
I don't think we're going to see that low caliber of player here at the table today.
Well, no. I mean, like I said, if you had that kind of player, then you can GTE.
Right.
You know, almost any hand we could watch here, no matter how badly I thought someone played it, you might be able to convince me they played it well because they knew this specific information about the other players. So they'd be like, oh, well, if that's the case, then they played it well. The only time you can absolutely play a hand horribly wrong is if you're just calling with something hopeless. Especially calling the river with something hopeless. Don't be my roommate in college who called my bet on the river in a game of 7-card stud when he couldn't beat my board. And then when someone else asked him, why did you call? He's like, I was bluffing. Okay, you're just a horrible poker player. Sorry, buddy.
Call is not a good way to get a bluff.
We're playing nickel dime quarter poker, so no one. I was a horrible player.
Sure.
I was just less horrible than you.
That's all you have to do.
We were all horrible. I'm sure, we're like young adults. We all think we're, macho and be like, ooh, we're playing poker like the big boys, and I guess we can't afford to play for a significant amount of money, but still, like, hey, we're men here, you know.
Uh-huh. Break out the
Guys
whiskey.
are smoking cigars
Yeah,
and
there you
stuff.
go.
Like, they're spending more on the cigar than on the buy-in. That's not true either, but you know, they find some
Could be.
cheap ass 50-cent cigar
Uh-huh.
somewhere. But
Been there. Now, we just saw pocket fives get folded.
yeah, 'cause
Usually
you're
the rule-
drawn to the worst straight.
You're drawn to the worst straight. Usually the rule of thumb
and
is
you got so many people in there, you're really worried that you might be drawn dead already
Yeah.
to like 9-10.
and then the 4 would have made the straight, but like you said, it's the dummy
But even
end.
then, you're still like, how much money do I want to put in? If I have the best hand right now with a 5,
Right.
then any 9 or 10 or 5 can, you know, in a spade and pair on the board are all possibly horrible things that could still happen. Like Philippe has an exciting hand because he's got
Yeah.
gut shot straight, but he's also got the flush.
Yes.
Jade, all in for 30, that's fine because she only has 30. And now this is why the
All
5
in for
folded,
30, yeah.
because he's gonna he got lucky and still loses.
Right.
He was drawing dead on the one end. The 9 was always going to beat him. He caught the 4 he needed and then still lost.
9, yeah.
And he would have lost if it had been a 9. He'd have lost if it had been a 10. He'd have lost if it had been a 5. He'd have lost if it had been a spade. He'd have lost to Jade if it was a 7 or an 8.
Sure.
So
Very
even if he knew that he's drawing live, he also knows he's kind of like fading a bazillion out redraw.
Bazillion outs.
If it's one
It
opponent,
happens.
that's different. Like
Right.
if it's like you raised, I call, and I have 5s on the 6, 7, 8, I'm not worried about the 9 comes and you make a higher straight, and I'm not really that worried that the spade comes and you're going to make a flush because it's one person. Like your
Sure.
range includes so many other things that are not flush draws, that are not a higher straight draw. You know, and there's a chance I have you in really bad shape because you just have like ace king, ace queen, and I'm ahead and have a draw.
Right.
So completely different. I mean, heads up. You know, even here we got a full table, but when 2 people only see the flop, it's a completely different game than when 6 people see the flop.
Yeah. Heads up is very different than multi-way, I think.
Yeah, and I'm saying not even because like if you and I were playing heads up,
That's
only
true
the
too.
2
Yeah,
of us,
yeah, I
that's
see.
a very, very different game.
Right.
But even here, though, like if there's just whether it's 1 raise, 2 raises, whatever, but if only 2 of us see the flop, that's extremely different strategy that how you're gonna correctly play your hand, as opposed to when 6 people have taken the flop.
Sure.
6 people taking the flop and hold them, you're getting to more of like a PLO thinking, where you want
Right.
you want
The strength of the hand must go up.
you're looking more for those nutted hands or nut draw type scenarios as opposed to, you know, bottom 2 pair is
Sure.
great, but you know, if 6 people see the flop and you have bottom 2 pair on 6, 7, 8, like I'm not too excited about this, you know. It's like the checker.
Okay. Good deal.
Did you just turn off the audio?
I did for just a second.
Oh,
It's
okay,
back
we
on.
can turn it back on.
It's back on for you.
Okay, great. All right, guys. Now we can talk smack. He's gone. Well, we've got an interesting hand here. We got Jade, who just rebought, and she has the flush draw that's going to lose to Ben if it gets there. Ben has middle pair and a flush draw, so he loves his hand. Slate's got top pair, good kicker. Billy is checking and getting ready to fold, and same for Corey. I doubt they're going to put a penny in more. Nope. Now we are heads up. Oh, Jade got away from the flush draw. I'm sorry, pot over. Ben wins. I didn't think that hand was going to end so soon. So we can see aggression frequency, and Ben on top, followed by Jade. All right, if I get in this game, I want to be on Jade's left. I want those aggressive players on my right, you know, especially the loose aggressive players. And I want the predictable players on my left, which probably isn't Jason. I'd probably, if I get in this game, I want to see Jason quit and I get his seat. I think that's the place to be, or Philippe actually there. Well, no, because I'd rather not. Jason can be played with him the other night. He can be a tricky player and can be quite aggressive. So I think if I got exactly what I wanted, Jason would decide to quit the game and I'd get his seat. So Jason's making a good raise to $50. King Queen suited. Corey's calling Ace 10 offsuit. I'm not a fan of that call. Billy calls with 10s. That one I like. You're just trying to flop a set, really. And Ben's call is it's fine. Jade, I don't bad call, Jade. Sorry, honey, but you want to fold that kind of hand. It just doesn't have enough value even in late position. Philippe 3-bets. Well, 3-betting with Ace Queen suited is not a mistake. Min 3-betting, I think, is a huge mistake. Because now you are just, if someone here was trapping, or if Jason made the first raise with a monster hand, now what do you do when someone makes it, 500 to go? You probably have to throw away. I mean, if you don't fold Ace Queen, you're probably wrong. So I don't like that min click 3-bet from Philippe at all. And we still have 6 people in, and looks like the Ace Queen's going to take the lead, though. And he's going to be in great shape because the only other person that likes this flop is Corey with Ace 10, who only has 1 out because Billy has pocket 10s. Billy only has 1 out, and he's folding, and Corey got away from it. But now Jade did not stay in, so that's good. And Jason's still in with King Queen suited.
Spicy flop. Now we call the Ace Queen. We call that out here. We call that the Ace Quisha.
We got to check on the turn, which kind of surprises me. If Philippe checked back that turn, it should be for some good reasons. Like that way, I don't think I can get Jason to call me twice. So I'm going to check the turn, make it harder for him to fold the river. So if that was why Philippe checked the turn, I like it. If he checked because he was worried about his hand being best, then I don't like it. This one started out interesting. Jason raised to 50, and then after everyone called, Philippe min-clicked to 100. And we had 6 ways to the flop, which I was saying how much I hated the min-click to 100. I don't like any raise that isn't big enough to where everyone might fold. If it's not big enough, I mean, 5 people put in 50. They're not folding for 50 more.
Right.
And now what do you do if, after you min-click to 100 and now Jason goes 500?
Yeah.
With your Ace Queen suited, like
now you're in a
it
tough
turns
spot.
out you would have been folding a hand that's a huge favorite against Jason.
Sure.
Or you're calling with Ace Queen against a guy who's almost always got a way better hand.
Yeah,
but Philippe made the nut flush, and he's betting, and Jason's just like, do I think you're full of it?
Yeah.
Like you did the min click, you bet the flop, you checked the heart on the turn, and now you're betting the river? Like, either you made the flush, or you think this is a scare card you can bluff me with.
Right. And how about Philippe's table dynamic of just counting cash, wrapping it up in a band, cool as a cucumber? Does that give you any reads?
I mean, it can against some players, but that's the kind of spot where you need to know the player.
Mm-hmm.
There are very, very few tells that are just generic and like, if I see this, it always means that.
Sure.
So Ben's out
Ben's
in
up
front,
there.
and
5.1K. Billy.
Philippe just shot up.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking I thought they said this game was 200 to 800 originally for the buy-in.
No, I think the average buy-in, or most players bought in for about 2.5.
Yeah, so that, but I thought that someone misspoke.
That may have been.
And they made it sound like that was the rule. Like you can match 80%.
The non-live game is 200 to 800, I believe.
Yeah,
And
see,
so
someone was probably telling me those rules,
that's
even though
what
I
it was.
asked about the live game.
Right. Yeah,
Or
the
the
live
live stream
game. I
game,
think
but-
the max buy-in was 2.5, and then I'm not sure if it's 70% or an 80%
Yeah.
match the stack.
See, I you know, would almost be tempted to just show up super short
Yeah.
because, especially in
We've
the
seen
hold'em
that.
rounds, I mean, short stacking can be a super effective strategy. If you buy into a game like this for like 300, and now you've got like that first raise to 50, you just like, hey, if I have a super premium hand,
Right. Just
I have
rip
one
it.
of those top like 6 hands, 7 hands, then I rip it in, and if they don't fold, I still probably have the best hand.
Right. Well, that and the dynamic of the short stack too. I noticed because I play a lot of short stack, is that people are kind of afraid of you because they know that you're so willing to get it all in. You know. And
Well, I'm not willing to just get it all in it, you know, glibly.
well, if you're going to be in a pot, you're basically pot committing yourself. Is what I think I mean by that.
Well, yeah, in this situation, like if I bought in for only 200 or 300, my plan would be to fold, and I would be playing a fairly tight range, but I would fold a lot, and then when I didn't fold, I would just go all in. But I would mostly wait for these situations
Sure.
where, you know, like there's already been like that raise to 25 to 50 and several callers,
Right.
and now I'm, you know, probably only going to get one caller and have a bunch of dead money, and on average, I'll be ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, if you short stack intelligently, you are the money favorite. Like you are the player most likely to win the most money. Except that once you win the first time, you can't short stack
Short stack
again.
anymore. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, if you could join this game and you're allowed to buy in for 200, and as soon as you win money, you're allowed to like
pull it.
take, you know, go south with all but 200 for each hand. If you played like that and you knew what you were doing, you would be the favorite to make the most money every night.
If only in a perfect world. No, I think the laws in Texas, if you pull money off the table, you have to wait 2 hours before you can return. So
Well, it's not a Texas thing. That's just
that-
it's a house rule.
house rule. Okay.
And almost every house has a rule. Like if you want to go south, you have to quit the game and then wait for an hour or two, and just go back on the list.
I got you.
So, but even if there's no list, you can't sit down for an hour or two.
Well, hello.
I can't be the guest if somebody else is already in here.
Oh, please come in. We've got the Crusher here. It's one of my favorite dealers here at Kojak's. She's called the Crusher because she always seems to bust players.
She didn't deal my bust out.
I did not.
Can't hold it against her though.
So-
I behaved during the
Yeah.
tournament, but it's like cash games today. I'm being brutal.
Do you want this? I haven't opened it.
So what we got
And,
going here?
so-
We have a very boring hold'em hand of a
Yep.
deuce 7-8. No one has anything.
And
But
there's
now 3 hearts and no one
Then-
has a heart.
That makes a pair of
So
kings, but he's going
it's
to be scared.
Just a question of, you know, who wants to call down or bluff at this.
And Ben does bet his top pair.
And he raises with it too, which is
Yeah.
pretty daring because it's a strange spot to raise actually, because you kind of expect to either be beat or have the best hand.
Right.
And if you're beat, you're not getting Eric to fold.
And if Eric
And
calls,
what is Eric doing with
Yeah.
10 high? No
looks like
draw?
he's making the call.
I don't re-raise.
Oh, he re-raised to 250.
So Eric's just making a move with air.
sense and
And
weakness.
and if this works, that is why, Ben,
Wow.
you don't raise with a king there.
That's it.
And Eric's showing it like, ha ha ha, I bluffed you. And that's the reason you don't raise with the king there.
Right.
Like you think you have the best hand, but if you cannot stand the re-raise, you call this turn and then you call the river no matter what because you think the guy's bluffing.
Yep.
If you call the turn and fold the river, even if it's the 4th heart on the river, it should be because I've got a great read on this guy and I know he wasn't just bluffing, he was semi-bluffing a heart.
So yeah.
Like he was semi-bluffing with a big heart, and now I read him for making the flush. You could play it like that, but only if you have a read. If you don't have a read on a player and you're just like, oh, they're super aggressive and they would bluff here with nothing. If you call the turn, then you just grit your teeth and you call the river even when it's ace of hearts, as ugly as can be.
Sure.
And I make those calls, and and when I'm right, people will be like, how could you make that call? Like, I decided when I called the turn, I
That
was
you-
not going to
yeah.
fold on the river to this guy
Well, that's
because
you gotta-
he's so aggressive. If I didn't know that the player is super aggressive, I don't call the turn.
right. Thinking a couple of steps ahead. You always got to think at least one
Yes.
street.
One of my card player articles talks about, like, you got to, You have to think ahead, not
Yep.
just, and that's especially like a PLO thing. People flop like top and bottom pair on a wet board, and they're like, "Well, I think I have the best hand," and so they don't want to fold and they call. But it's like, think ahead, dude. What are you
Yeah,
going to do
right.
on every river, on every turn card that doesn't give you a full house? Now what?
Yeah.
Like, because over half the deck is going to make straight or a flush possible, or both.
Right.
And you're going to call then. Because if you're not going to call then, you just give up now and save money.
And poker has the advantages. There's not that many options. You know, if you call now, then the player is either going to raise or check afterwards. So you really only have to calculate a couple of different options. And if they raise, they're only going to raise in certain amounts. Either they're going to raise small, they're going to raise large, or they're going to check. So it should be easy to calculate.
Well, Jade just turned the set
Turning the set right there.
against the top pair that's still top pair, and that
Yeah.
is going to seem like probably a pretty innocuous card to Billy.
And Billy's laughing about it. You can see him. He's perplexed right now.
Yeah, and he's getting 2.5 to 1 on the call against someone who's known to be super aggressive.
Super.
I
No
mean,
flushes.
if he raises, I'm going to say horrible. But if he folds or calls, I'm going to be like, fine, if you're against this super laggy player.
Right.
Like, you can beat all of her bluffs. You really can't beat any of her value bets. I mean, if he raises and gets called by a worse hand, that's going to be very unlikely. So he's either saying, like, I'm paying you off.
This time I'm paying you off.
Yeah.
And that's the advantage of Jade's table image too, that she
Yes.
bets just about everything so that she gets paid off when
Oh,
something
yeah.
like this happens.
I mean, the horrible players are the ones who will, like, bluff, 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 bluff all the time.
Sure.
And then when they finally make a good hand, now they try to get cute and trappy with
Uh-huh.
it. And it's like, dude, you have this
You've changed.
ridiculous lag, maniac image. You should never slow play if that's your image.
Yeah.
I mean, and for anyone listening, let's say I'm not recommending you play this super lag bluff, bluff, bluff game. But what if you come to a game and you now just are getting hit by the deck at the beginning? You're playing against people who don't know you. You're getting hit by the deck in that first 30, 40 minutes or whatever of the game, but you're not making it to showdown much. So they now think you are probably doing a lot of bluffing.
Mm-hmm.
Your image is loose, aggressive maniac.
Right.
And you should remember that. And don't think you can bluff because everyone knows you're tight and solid. These people who haven't played with you before think you're a maniac. So you always have to monitor your image. You know, it's different here, like at a club like this. When these players play with each other all the time. So if someone here is known as the nittiest player at Kojaks, and they win, 5 pots in a row without a showdown, these players know
He has
he's
something.
still a nitty player.
Right.
And he just happened to have something for the last 7 hands.
Mm.
They would probably not assume that he's on tilt or doing anything crazy or stupid,
Drinking too much.
But, right.
We switched over to PLO here.
So Billy has the straddle, and Ben has the sleeper for 20, and
Billy, not a great hand with that deuce, but not a terrible hand.
It's definitely an above average hand, but not a premium. Jade's hand is almost as bad as they come.
Per usual, she's in the pot.
I mean, Philippe's hand is quite bad. Those are both easy folds.
Yeah.
He's 6'5'4". That's not bad. You got good position and a decent hand with some playability. Like, just limping in for 20 isn't bad at all.
Now, how valuable would you say that suited ace is in Robert's hand?
How did he raise to a 200?
Oh.
Oh wait, Billy made it 60, and then
And
he
then
made it 200. I'm not too big a fan of Billy's raise because of his position.
That makes sense.
He's got a reasonably good hand, but he's got the worst position. Now even though he's the favorite here, he's barely a favorite.
Yeah.
And he's out of position.
And now Ben's got pretty good straight possibilities.
Ben's got a big straight draw and actually currently the best hand with a pair of 8s.
Ooh.
I don't know if that was so quick. They must have decided to check it down or something. So a pair of 8s is going to hold, and But again, like if Billy had been on the button or something, that's completely different. Now, having position for the rest of the hand is such a huge thing. Position is important in Hold'em. It's way more important in Omaha.
That's what I was about to say. That was one thing I picked up from your clinic is the power position is what 2-3 fold stronger in PLO than it is in Hold'em.
I mean, when you river the non-nut flush out of position, you're just like, what do I? If I check and it checks around, yes, I'm probably winning and I missed the value. But if you bet and you get raised, you have a bluff catcher and that's it.
That's it.
So now you're just and if you're known as a nitty player, they're not going to pay you off.
Right.
So you're just in this position where you're like winning the least and losing the most, and failing to get value and all that because of position. You make a flush and hold 'em, you're just like, this is probably good.
Yeah.
If I have deuce 3 suited and I make a flush on the river, it's like this is probably the best hand, and I can bet for value. And if someone raises, I still might be able to like I might make a happy call and know that I'm still likely to be the winner.
Right.
But in PLO,
not the case.
If it's the non-nut flush, and you're either bluff catching or losing.
Yeah, and you don't want to. Really...
Or you're in my home game where the Vietnamese lady who hosts the game would, like, you never try to do the dry ace bluff on her. She'll call you with any flush, and if someone says to her like 6 high. And she'll just be like, frush is frush. And that's it. Flush is flush.
Flush is flush.
Flush is flush. Like, what do you mean 6 high? Flush is flush.
Flush is flush. That's teaching my brother to play poker. And that's about how he plays too. Just I'll call you down. Yeah, sure. I'll call you.
This is actually, given these hands, a very boring flop because no one has anything. But Eric just figures my aces are probably still ahead, and that's, again, you're in this that's why PLO can be so interesting. It's like, if no one has a 3, you're way ahead.
Yeah.
If someone has a 3, you're way behind.
Right.
And even though he doesn't have a flush draw, he does have that ace of hearts, which means he should be more likely to bet. Because if someone's going to call here without a 3 or 7's full, they usually would have the nut flush draw. Ben calling with a 10 high flush draw is pretty iffy. I'm not, I don't like Ben's call with 10-8, 4-4. It's like pair of 4s, non-nut flush draw. And this would be the only reason it can be a good call, is if he just thinks, I can get away with a bluff here.
Yeah.
If I can get away with a bluff often enough, it becomes a good call. But that's playing the player.
Yes.
That's not the GTO.
And it doesn't look like
it failed.
It failed, yeah. The bluff doesn't get through.
Pair of 4s, so... either it was a good attempt and it didn't work this time, or it was a bad attempt. And that depends upon how well Ben and Eric know each other's game and things I don't know because I don't know them well enough.
Right. Well, we do know that puts Ben below the 5K chip count threshold and back down to 4.6K. Still chip leader, though. And maybe that could have influenced his decision to put out the bluff bet was, hey, I'm up.
Yeah. No, definitely plenty of players play very, very differently when they are stuck versus when they're ahead in the cash game. And the same's true in tournaments as well to some extent. Players who, like, when they have a big stack, play very, very differently.
A big stack bully.
I mean, again, being a bully at any point in any form of poker is only correct if the table's going to let you bully them.
Yeah.
If they are not going to let you bully them, then you are really foolish to try.
Yeah, if you decide to put out a bluff bet, here's one that stopped me a couple times. What is the best reason that you have that your bluff will succeed? And if you can't think of a good reason, probably not making a good bluff.
Well, most people bluff more than they should, and most people think the other player is bluffing more often than they are. And that's true, generically speaking, for every form of poker, not just hold'ems, not just tournaments or cash or whatever, but just in general for any form of poker. I mean, my preference, when I can, is to play games like Triple Draw and Stud High Low and all the other games that you just don't ever see anywhere.
Hmm.
But in those games, it's the same thing. Like, people probably bluff more than they should, and yet people think they're being bluffed much more often than they probably are.
Do you notice a correlation? Maybe the bluff happy players assume that other players are bluffing more often than the
Yes.
tighter players. Interesting.
Someone who bluffs too much seems to also think that
They call
they think they're getting bluffed.
Hmm.
They're more likely to think they're getting bluffed. The tight player is more likely to think that you have it, because they're like, I wouldn't bet without at least this.
Interesting.
It is, and this is an issue for me and for everyone to some extent, but it is hard to like get out of our own head and to think that like you must have this or can't have that because that would be crazy. I would never do it.
Hmm. It's
And
the
yet,
human element.
so it's hard to think of like, how would Ben play? How would Jade play? How would Philippe play in this spot, and put them on a proper range of hands, as opposed to you just thinking like
What
Like
would
I
do?
would I would never play queens like this.
Right, right.
So I mean, I don't think he can have queens. He would have raised here, or he would have folded there, or whatever.
And we just had a bust. There's a seat open on the live stream.
I
Ben's back up to the over the 5K mark.
was he busting, or is he just reloading?
Corey's out. Corey,
And
seat
it's-
one.
I'm curious. We're sitting here doing commentary. We're watching this. Are we seeing what they're doing this moment?
Yes.
Okay, because
There's
different
a-
live streams do it differently.
Right.
Some live streams, we don't see it live. We see like the same delay that
Yeah.
the audience at home is seeing.
We've got a 15-minute stream delay, so the audience is watching 15 minutes behind,
Okay.
which does make me curious about the chat. Write us in chat. What time are you listening to me right now? But we'll make sure to reply to you. But we are watching it live.
It's gonna say 10:15, right? Like PM.
No, it's
is-
10:15 now.
I know.
For us, in
if
the
we're on a
moment.
delay.
Oh, and when they
Yeah.
what you just asked. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
No, I think Basil, I'm sure, is going to write in because he usually watches while he's at the table. But yeah, I
I get it now. That was one moment that went
That's-
way over my head.
that's all right.
I was
No,
like,
we're-
they're gonna say exactly what time it is, but I get it. I get it.
No, we're on the honor system in here. Don't go telling people what.
Well, no, I mean,
you know.
the reason to maybe do it the other way though, so that we see the delay,
Uh-huh.
is then there never can be a question that like you are not texting someone at
right.
the table in the moment, because you didn't see it any sooner than they could have seen it on their phone.
Exactly.
So that's the advantage of doing it that way, and the fact that we see it on a delay. So what?
So what?
It's like
Yeah.
our video is delayed, our audio is live, but we're not saying anything different. It's not like if you slip an F-bomb in here that you're like, oh shoot,
Hurry
let
up
me
and
like
censor it.
let me bleep that out before it streams to the world in 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're not doing that.
It's a
But
short
that's the
list
reason,
of
because
things.
see, I was just curious if like he just busted or if he busted 15 minutes ago.
Right.
That's why I asked, because I'm like, well, if he's not rebuying, I think I get the seat,
Yeah.
and
You know.
and like, if he busted this moment, it might be a little while before someone comes to get me. And
Then there it
Speak
is.
of the devil.
Speak of the devil.
Seat open for the one and only.
well, I'm
Mr.
gonna
Fossil
move
Man.
to the table, and
Well,
now you can make fun of how bad I play.
While I was out of the room, I assume you were doing the same for me. So, I'm kidding.
Well, you weren't playing. How can I make fun of how you played when you weren't in the game?
That's true. That's a good point. This man's always got. He's always
Got
got.
answers.
Well, good luck out there, sir. It was
Thanks.
fantastic commentating with
We will
you.
have some fun. Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yes, sir. Very
You get an
starstruck.
actual cheer now, Death Dealer.
Yeah.
They call me Dr. Death. They
What do
really
you
do.
Dr. Death.
I believe you.
My foot's asleep though.
There we go. We got a couple of comments actually. Speaking of comments, we got Don Taylor saying, "I'm gonna have to show up to Kojak's." Yeah, you better.
Oh, I have not seen him in a while. Come see
Yeah.
us, Uncle Don.
He said, "Tune in, Kojak's Poker Club." Yeah, hey, come see us, man.
That's
We
Uncle
got
Don.
we got Greg Raymer, who has just left the booth. Gonna be sitting down at
Come
the
in.
table. Hello.
What up?
What's happening, man? Come on, be nosy. We got a guest in the studio. And we got Greg Raymer about to sit down at the
No.
table. Fossil Man himself. I was very quiet, you may have noticed, while he was talking, trying to just let him spew as much knowledge as he could. I won't even claim to be, yeah, right. Honestly, zip my lip. I will not even claim to be 2%, 1% of the poker player that he is. So, anytime he is going to say something, let him say it, let him go. But should be interesting to watch how the table shifts in dynamic. It's been a pretty timid table, I'd say, so
that
far.
table, I don't think shifts at all. I think it stays exactly the same.
Really?
I think they honestly try to play harder against him. If they
Harder
can.
against him.
When Greg is on, they're gonna definitely try to push him. I bet you.
Try and get him.
Oh,
Well,
guaranteed.
Well, very good. It looks like he's going to be buying in. He and I were talking about short stack poker. He said, it wouldn't be bad to buy in for the minimum. But it looks like he's buying a little more than the minimum.
Yeah,
I see a couple of chips over there.
I think he said 1,000.
Oh, that looks like a little more than 1,000 even. But,
Yeah, a little more.
No, he's right at
Right out?
3 stacks of red, stack of green. That's 8
Yeah, he
plus
gave
the
him
2
a-
blacks.
he gave
Oh,
him
I may have been looking at the. Oh, yeah, I was looking at that stack with the stack of blacks. Yeah, okay, right at 1,000. Love to see it. And seat 1 for number 1.
Number one.
At least,
Keep the good omen, right?
That's right. Trying to keep the good energy flowing. Hey, Greg, honestly, part of the reason that I was so quiet, not only to let you speak your knowledge, but a little starstruck, I'll be honest.
Were you fangirling?
I was so fangirl.
Oh my god.
2004 was right about when I started getting into poker. It was probably 05, 06 that I started
I'm gonna
getting
make
into
you
poker.
feel really old.
Tell me.
I was 5.
Well, I knew how to read back then.
I was gonna say I did, but I couldn't say my S's. So no, I was not. I said F. Like stuck my tongue out, thinking that's how you said an S.
Man,
Did you
that's
get
all
your
right.
Picture with him yet?
Did I what?
Get your picture. With him?
I'll get a picture with him. I'm going to stick around after the stream, and definitely I need to get a selfie with him. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised at the end of the clinic that he ran on Tuesday. He handed out autographed fossils.
That's pretty cool.
So
Aw.
I got one of those sitting on my dresser drawer at home.
Look at you,
But
fangirling in here.
I know, man. I was ooh. And when I was at the clinic, he did hand reviews, and so I kept messing up because I was nervous. Like, what is he going to think of me?
That's cool, man.
It's too funny. Yeah, I tried to open a pot for 3x and accidentally put out 2x, and he was like, "I hate that bet," and I was like, "No, please." Very, very nice guy, though. Very good teacher. Very patient man as well, and
Nah, he's pretty nice, man.
super, super nice. Just really impressed with how willing he is to share his knowledge as well. A lot of people in this business, or in this game, I should say.
He shared some great knowledge with me. He told me all guys are ugly, some are just less ugly.
Very true.
I
is-
said okay.
Might be a valid statement.
That's,
I was like, all right then.
Present
I'm
company.
with
The
it.
list
I'm with
for ugly.
yeah, right. Present company
Well,
excluded.
I'm not as ugly as the next guy.
I was like, all right. He's like, it's all personal preference. And I was like,
That's
you're not wrong.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
my brace for him, so
All righty.
Adios.
Well, good having you, sir. Good seeing you. Yeah, you are not wrong. I think women have the form of beauty, and guys, we don't.
Y'all
we
are
don't
just
know what we're doing.
Less ugly. I was like, hey, that's it. All the players, of course, at that moment, because I guess my face gave it away, because he was talking to the whole table, and I'm sitting there dealing, like, keeping my mouth shut like I'm supposed to, and he says that, and I just immediately, like, I think my face gave it away, because I was started just, like, wheels were spinning, I was like, I can't understand this. Like, all right.
Oh man. Yeah, that's. You do have, I will say, a very expressive face.
I do.
I do enjoy that.
I don't know how sometimes, like, if players looked at me after I, like, bust them, or if, like, somebody wins, like, my face will give it away. I'm either just like, ugh,
Yeah. Or
Or-
very happy.
or very happy.
Like when you bust me.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
There's only a few that I'm just like,
Oh man.
but those are the ones that are like, we go way back, and it's more of a joke because then they'll bug me, and I'll be like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had to put that on the board. I'm just like, sorry. So that bad juju, making fun of me all these years.
Oh man.
There's very few though.
Yeah, it looks like Slate making a straight, splitting the pot with Billy.
There we
That
go.
queen high straight right there. Jade, of course, was in the pot. And the chip count still showing Ben on top. Bearded Ben picking up 5.1K. Eric, 4.5K. I feel like I'm.
I think I found out Jade's problem tonight.
Oh, what's Jade's problem?
She slept.
She's
She-
not sleep deprived.
No, she said she slept from like Friday night until today.
I love that.
She woke up just a few times for like 30 minutes, she said, and I'm like,
Love
this
that.
is our problem, Jade.
Yeah.
We need your sleep deprived, like, just craziness.
She's too rested right now. That's funny. Jade, still interesting to watch, but not as calculated, I think, as is typical unslept, unrested Jade.
Mm-mm.
We got Fossil Man being dealt in for his first hand so far tonight, or at least on the live stream. He was playing in our tournament earlier. We heard the story about how he busted. He was kind of
got
right.
him?
He was kind of right, kind of wrong. I can't remember now. I think he said Sean was in the pot, and then I don't remember who else was in the pot.
Okay.
I think he said guy to my right.
Guy to my right.
Left.
thought-
Guy to my left. There he is.
Corey?
Fossil Man.
Maybe? No. I know who it was. Okay, I know who it was. But I just went blank.
We'll
on
have to
his name, so
rewind the
don't ask.
tape. I'm such a bad listener. I was too nervous. That was the first thing he said when he sat down.
Why are you nervous? I got a text from a friend just now, and he said, "Quit being nervous about PLO." Because I
You
sat
can't
down
help
and
it.
like looked at the table, and I was like, "Y'all gonna have to help me with the math tonight."
Oh,
Like my
man, yeah.
brain is, we're fried right now. Like this brain, it is shut down. I have been up since so early. So I switched schedules.
Get one of those Jade sleep schedules
I-
going on to fix it.
That's
No,
the problem. I switched my sleep schedule. I went from working nights for 3 years to I have this new job now where I'm waking up every day at like 6 in the morning. So weekends
normal
it's like
time.
7 a.m. What are we gonna do? I'm like, Lindsay, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
the nights like
man.
this, I'm so out of it.
I have been there. I've been there. I actually used to do casino security for a little while.
Did you?
Uh-huh. And I went from swing shift from 4 to midnight to grave shift from midnight to 4.
Oof.
And midnight to 8. And you would think that's not that bad.
No, that's like the worst.
But just the schedule change, I mean,
Oh.
is actually the worst
Yeah.
schedule change. And it was
That's-
really interesting because everybody that I knew would be waking up
Mm-hmm.
while I'm coming home from work.
That's me. I would literally get off work some nights, and like my mom is a teacher, and so I'd be calling her
Yeah.
on the way out, like out from work. I'd be like, "Hey, what you doing? Oh, just getting ready for school. You just get off? Yeah, I'm going to bed."
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like she's out of school, like off work, and I'm just waking up. She's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Going to work."
Hey, shout out to all you non-9-to-5ers. I feel like there's a couple of those watching right now. I
There
feel
has to
like
be.
poker breeds some of the non-traditional schedules.
They understand. Oh, I have to go.
They get it. Uh-oh. Where are you headed to?
To go deal.
Ah, well, it's
I gotta
time.
go break the tournament down.
Gonna go crush some folks.
Yeah, I gotta get those last few bagged players so that we can. Sorry, I can't.
That's all right. Can't multitask. Can't even
Our
stay
brush
awake.
was looking for me. I owe her some monies.
That's all right.
She was
Well,
like, "Did you leave?" No, I'm
Well-
just hiding from everyone.
day 2 on Monday. Come out, watch. If you don't have a seat, come out and play.
Hang out.
Yeah, come out
We'll
and
be
play.
here.
And we are still on that round of Hold'em. Fossil Man has been dealt in, but has not played a hand just yet. Very tight player, very good player. Looking forward to seeing some of the moves that he makes over here. Billy, not a great hand, but he's got the suited ace at least. He's got some connectivity with that 2-4-7. And it looks like Jade with a pair of 8s. She's calling $65. Hey, if it's good enough to call $5, it's good enough to call 65. And flop comes Queen 6-5. 2 players not showing up. We'll see if we can't get those fixed. You see the crusher all the way in the background there behind Jade. Dealing out at the table over there. And let's see. We've got a bet of 190 from Ben. Slate does make the call. So, oh, there we go. Ben with a pair of queens to go along with his pair of jacks. Oh, upgrades to 2 pair, hitting that king and the queen. No longer is Slate any good. He's got a pair of 6s on the board, or combining his hand to the board. But he's also got that pocket pair of aces. There are 3 hearts out there. Ben does decide to bet. Pretty fair-sized bet. About half the pot. Slate now put to the test. Are his aces good enough against Ben's aggression? He's been aggressive a lot tonight. And you can see Slate playing with the Fossil Man fossil that was handed out at the clinic. Rubbing it for good luck, trying to make the right decision. On the back of it, it says, play smart. And then it has Raymer's autograph on there. So looks like Slate did play smart, did make the smart fold. Let it go to Ben's 2-pair. Now, of course, Slate doesn't know what Ben has, and it could have been anything ranging from that flush to the 2-pair, but his pair of aces not likely to be good, especially without the ace of hearts. And we're switching over to Hold'em here. Oh, Fossil Man on the button right there, flicking in a chip. Now, this will be interesting to watch. We talked earlier about how this is the first club that Fossil Man has been to where we play blinds on the button. And it is a $5 game, so $5 on the button is the game. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts his strategy. Billy's out of there, 7-5. Slate, King 10. Does he decide to play it? Just a limp. Just a limp. I agree with that. I usually say if your hand is good enough to play, it's good enough to raise. And looks like Slate, the victim of that, Jade jumps in with pocket threes, making a raise to $30. Fossil Man with 8-4, not good enough. Robert with the pocket fives does make the call. So it looks like we're going three ways to the flop. A couple of set miners out there. A couple of set miners. Jade looking for a 3. Does not get it. Robert looking for a 5. Does not get it either. Both are backdoored to a wheel. And Slate is gut shot to Broadway. Hit that jack. Oh, and there's the 5 of diamonds. Wow, getting a boat on there. But he would have made a boat on there. But he did fold. And Jade will take it down with that pair of threes, that pocket pair. Picking up 115 buckarooners, back up to 2.5K. So we've got a full table again. And here we go. Joe, hey, thanks for writing in, buddy. 10:30 Central. Chris Moss, thanks for writing us in too. 10:30. Looks like the comments are on that 15-minute delay as well. So thanks for interacting with us. We really appreciate that. And hey, go ahead and like it. Like our stream while you're at it. So it is now 10:32 that I am reading those. So that means you will be reading those comments at 10:45 if my math serves. And I think math is a pretty good skill to have in the poker realm, so hopefully my math is not that bad. And it looks like we've got a big raise here. Billy raising 120. We don't have any hands showing up. But we do see that Slate is making the call, so he's not naked. Got Ben making the call, so he's not naked. Jade making the call. Could be naked. Who knows? Who knows? Philippe under the gun with the 6 deuce. Interesting that he should... Oh, Slate is under the gun. Here we go. We're updating our graphics here. Sorry, we were a hand behind. Thanks for bearing with us here. Slate's got the king-queen. Yeah, king-queen. Ben with the queen-8. Oh, my gosh. And the flop is all jacks. Now, this is a real interesting position. You've got to be worried about another player not likely to hold a jack. I think most people would discount that other players are holding a jack when there's a flop like that. Unless they do something just wacky out of character. Like they check when they normally don't, or they bet when they normally don't. But you have to be worried about other players holding a pocket pair. And is their pocket pair higher than mine? Now, this is also one of those times where position really helps out. If you have position... You see everybody checking too, you throw out a bet, take a stab at the pot. A lot of times it'll be first to bet wins the pot. And if everybody checks to you, you're on the button. Go ahead and throw out a bet. You probably take it down like we just saw. Ben under the gun with the 6-9. Not likely good enough. Not likely good enough. And I'm waiting for Ben to hold a pair of 5s so we can say Ben folds 5s. That's a dad joke. That's a dad joke. Looks like Philippe with the King 10 of spades against Jade's Jack 8 of spades. And, in PLO, that's what we were talking about with the Fossil Man himself. So that if you're not drawn to the nut flush or the nut straight, then you got to be worried. And when you're holding a jack high, a suited jack, you got to be worried about whether or not my flush is good. Luckily, the flop is all rainbow, so we don't have to worry about that. And even more luckily, a jack on the turn for Jade. So let's see if she can extract maximum value. Oh, did she just boat up? Now she's been checking so far. She goes ahead and bets 100. I think the other players are too suspicious. She's not able to get maximum value there and only picks up $60 out of that $190 pot. Then immediately throws in that straddle. You can see Jade's VPIP 85%. Unbelievable. Unheard of right there. That is crazy. Now they tell me about 15% is probably about the correct VPIP to have. 20% on the high end if you're really comfortable with the players and you think you can outplay them post-flop. But to see Jade's VPIP numbers are just unreal. We got Chris back in the studio. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
And we are still doing Hold'em. I was telling everybody a little starstruck. We had the Fossil Man in the studio here.
We sure
in
did.
the booth. And he comes complete with fossils. He's
He
still
does.
using that as a card protector. Love that some things never change. Yeah, it looks like
Find something that works, stick with it, right?
Hey, that's right. Amen. Looks like he does take down his first pot right there, throwing out a raise and getting no callers. Now, I was really interested to see, as Greg Raymer sits down, how the dynamic of the table changes. Do you think these players are going to be intimidated by him? Do you think they're going to try and go after him? We had the Crusher voicing an opinion that they're going to go after him. I kind of think that maybe we're going to see some more timid playing. Possibly more conservative.
I think that some of them are going to be really excited to try to get his money. I don't think that's going to be an easy task. I think he plays pretty well, and I think that he'll be able to see through a lot of stuff that they try.
And not to disparage any of these players up here, but he was in the studio with me watching their play. So
absolutely,
he comes prepared.
He's already got a little bit of knowledge on every single one of them for sure.
Exactly, and he was paying attention as well.
Oh yeah,
that man is a memory like a steel trap. And we'll see if I'm sure he's able to put it to good use. Now he did just win the first pot, or his first pot of the night, just as you walked in. So we'll see. We'll see if he can't make it 2 in a row. And we've already got a raise to 30 out there. Let's see. Eric with the King 7. Not a great hand, especially +1. Out of position. Fossil Man letting go of the Jack 8. And now that he's out, Ben's got the green light to go ahead and raise anything he's got. 10-9's good enough.
Spades could hurt.
Spades could definitely hurt.
Really bad.
Definitely hurt. Eric's got to wonder if his spades are good. At least Ben's are connected.
How sick would the 8 Queen Jack be?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? Ooh, you were close though. We got the 8 Jack. Only one spade out there. One of the remaining spades. And Jade has a gut shot right now. No, she's got a backdoor right now, but she does have a pair of 8s. Ben has the up and down straight draw. Looks like Eric is 3 to a straight also. Now 3 to a straight is where I sit 90% of the time, it seems like. Very comfortable in that position.
Thankfully, 3 to a straight is really easy to fold.
Yeah, indeed. Maybe your first week that you're learning the game, you think, oh, I got something here, and then you learn,
No, not really.
Not really. Looks like that 4 on the turn doesn't really help anybody. Jade's still best technically with her pair of 8s. Ben does
a lot of opportunity to
Ben
get
does
better.
have a lot of opportunities. 10 outs, pretty significant there. 33% equity with those 10 outs. Let's see. Now he does bet 460 with those outs. That's about half pot. And Jade, I think this is one of those bets where Ben just knows Jade so well. He knows she's got basically any two cards. When you've got a rainbow board, whoa! Now that's the danger of trying to make a move against such a loose, aggressive player. Wow! And Ben makes the
Ben
call.
well, I mean, open ended. That's
Open ended, but and they run it once, and it's not good enough for Ben to pull it off. Jade with her pair of eights, man. You don't see $5,000 pots go to pairs of eights very often, but here we are. Now
welcome to Kojaks.
that is the biggest pot of the night. I'm almost certain. Woo, 5.1K. That's got to feel good. That's a good way to double up. And that is Jade's aggression.
Oh yeah. And you really have to wonder, did Jade have a read there that she just knew that he was not that strong, or was she semi bluffing, going, I've got a piece of this, but it's really not that good, and I just want to take it down now? Or
She didn't even have top pair, you know? She had second pair, and she was up against not a flush board, but definitely a straight board.
yeah, I mean 5-7 is the straight already there.
And that was well played. I'm gonna say she had a good read. I'm gonna guess she had a good read. And I bet you if we talk to her about it afterwards, she's gonna say, I just thought that he was drawing. And that's a good way to make money. If you can push your players to chase draws, because most draws don't hit.
Most draws don't hit. I mean, you saw there, he had a ton of outs and still missed.
Ton of outs, yeah. A third of the deck could have come off and given him the hand. And yet, she was able to pull it off. But if you can make your opponents chase those draws, then you're going to be in a good spot profitability-wise over the long term. Jade now at the top of the leaderboard here, 5.1K, pushing Billy aside and pushing Ben all the way down to, what was that, 5th place? Woo! That's got to sting a little bit. So we're starting to see him loosen up. Now it could be Greg Raymer's presence. Maybe Jade's showing off.
It could also just be Jade versus Ben.
Yeah, that's true. A little history right there.
Yeah.
The Black Widow bites. And you got
There we got a good shot of Billy getting his pizza in.
just taking a big old bite.
Oh,
right
and he
there.
turns around to Pocket King.
Pocket Kings.
Oh,
Oh man, he's gonna be chowing down. This is one of those hands where you can eat pizza, you can do whatever you want because you're gonna be pretty good. And he did only raise it to 20. Ben 3 bets. It'd be interesting to see it. Yeah, Billy, I about to say would 4 bet this with his kings. Ben with the Charlie, by the way. Now Ben may be steaming a little bit after that. Let's see how steaming he is. No, not steaming enough to call with 5-3 to Billy's 4 bet. Oh man, and Jade.
so is this just Hollywood before like insta fold, or is this like actually considering?
This is bad.
Can I make
acting.
a 5 bet move here?
A
Or
5 bet move, a 5-3 bet move. No, that is, in my opinion, some bad acting. That just looked like he was going for the Oscar. It didn't quite pay off that time. And Jade makes us fold as well. Would have been free rolling, at least to the flop, but she's gonna hang on to those 5,000 chips she's got.
oh yeah. At least for now.
At least for now. At least, at least until 2 more cards come her way. And we are still doing Hold'em. Looks like we're going to be running close to the end of the stream here by the end of this round of Hold'em. Here we are. A couple of guests in the studio. Mr. Sean.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good to see you.
All right, man. What's going on?
Just chilling, playing some poker.
Just
some
watching.
poker.
Playing poker, huh?
Oh, yeah.
We got the famous Greg Raymer playing.
And he was just in the studio here a minute ago.
Oh, he was?
I have to admit, I was fangirling the whole time.
He's awesome.
He is.
We just got through doing a teaching session. Greg came down here to Midland invited me to help him out, and we did a teaching session. It was a lot of fun. Last Tuesday.
I was
And
there, and I gotta say, I learned a lot.
You did,
I
huh?
did.
It
I
is,
did.
man. I tell you what, they're fun to do, and I mean, I've probably done anywhere from 15 to 20. Oh, look at here, we have aces.
Oh man, and
That
Jade,
stopped this conversation.
Oh, and two
Jade
diamonds.
is in trouble.
Oh
here.
well, actually, he has a flush draw. That's not bad equity versus aces.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. I mean, that's kind of what he.
Oh,
I mean, at least aces are vulnerable here,
now we just saw a big pot.
and he has a jack nine. He's got a straight draw too.
Yeah. Yeah, we just saw a big pot with Jade and Ben, where Jade won the pot with a pair of eights,
Uh huh.
and Ben had a couple of draws.
Yeah.
Many
Right.
draws, 10 outs. Wasn't able to make it, but it was a $5,000 pot, so I think that's part of the reason why these two are going at it again right
Wow, really?
now. Uh-huh. Much smaller pot now.
I was
600.
playing with a gentleman I just played the final. I mean, we were end up bagging chips in the for the main. We come back Monday, but we're just playing with a guy that he's friends with Ben, and I don't know who Ben is. I've never met Ben before, but apparently he was like a online wizard. They used to play a lot online, like at Full Tilt, played tons of heads up matches.
Interesting. Oh, a heads up
So,
pro. Huh?
so yeah, he's kind of a heads up kind of guru, and so he's probably a really, really top player. Some of these people I really don't know. Billy, I played a lot with Billy. Slate, I played a lot with Slate, and Greg, I've known since since '04.
Wow,
So about 18 years now.
going way back.
Yeah, I mean, we used to we've done a lot of teaching at the World Series Poker Academy. So back in the day, like I said, anywhere from 15 to 20 times.
Wow,
We've taught a lot of camps. So like that, Greg's a phenomenal teacher. Real,
fantastic,
because he's real analytical.
and he's patient.
Yeah, and he really does it for kind of the right reason. He really wants people to get better,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah, you can tell. You can
yeah.
tell.
I mean, he's passionate about it, and he's perfect because he's so analytical about things. And wow, look
what
at
do you
here,
think he'd say about aces versus jacks? What's the proper move when you're holding those fish?
man! Look at these big hands. This is like, I guess this thing's. I guess live is just rigged. Look at this. Look at that. I mean, how often do you see these aces ever
Oh
hand?
man, it's those aces.
Oh.
just
The hand before
the
you came
king-
in,
the king
there was
might-
kings.
The
Yeah,
king
that's
might say the king might save Jason.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it looked
very
like it
much.
did. It looked like it did.
Very much.
So I
When you
see-
show aggression, I mean that range is, when they're racing up with aces, you got to put them on possible aces, possible ace king, possible king queen.
Right.
So when you see that king come out, you
Right.
just, I mean, I just got lucky to lose minimum with jacks.
Yeah.
You get a 7 high flop, or deuce 7 or whatever.
You are.
Jacks are just
yeah.
toast.
Yeah, you are.
Very
exactly.
vulnerable. Very vulnerable.
I saw a statistic recently that was basically if you're holding pocket jacks, there is a 57% chance
Of an overcard.
ace, king, or queen.
Yeah,
coming
on
the
the flop. On the flop, yes.
Wow.
And so I think that's why so many people hate to play jacks, is because so often an overcard comes.
Yeah, you are vulnerable, and that's a lot to that.
That's like they say. There's no right way. No right way to play jacks.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a tough hand to play. It's just
Yeah.
kind of what a laydown to lose minimum with
That was
jack. I mean, that's a
impressive.
that is really
That's
impressive.
impressive. Yeah, and especially with that king on the board here.
And Billy's busy doing something. Billy's our top
He
player.
did straddle though.
I have
He-
no Billy. Let me tell you something. I play a lot of cash with Billy. A lot of respect for his game. Oh, we're mixing it with PLO too, huh?
We're doing a round of each. We just switched over. Jason looks like he's all in.
Oh, really, huh?
All in for 10.
That
Yeah.
is. I'm gonna guess that's not true.
I
Probably.
don't.
I'm gonna
expect
guess
it.
that's a
I
mistake.
don't expect that.
Not in this
You
game.
know, he's got a whole stack. He's got 2 stacks of greens in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got $150 or $1,050 behind anyway.
He's more than good. More than good. Oh, we got 2 hearts on the board there. Fairly connected.
Yeah, fairly connected. We have. Anybody's got a heart?
Jade's
I'm not
got a
seeing
heart
anybody
draw.
with 2 hearts on their hand.
Jade has
Jade.
queen.
Oh, yeah,
high.
Jade. Okay, Jade's the one with her, and 31% equity.
But even that queen high flush, you're not going to really feel too good about it.
No, what are they playing? 9-handed.
Yeah.
So 9-handed times 4. I mean, there's just too many cards out.
Right.
36 cards out. You don't get crazy about queen high flushes. I
Yeah.
mean, but
Jade does make the call though.
and the only equity is really the heart draw. Really no straight draw with that. And then here we have 9-7 straight.
Oh,
Pairs the board.
Jack.
Nobody likes that pair of the
Fossil
board.
Man hits
Fossil
me
Man.
Except
wads.
for yeah.
Oh man!
Oh,
Welcome
my
to
God.
West Texas. Well, let's see
Nobody-
how he plays
no,
it.
But nobody likes it but him.
He's
So
gonna
in
go
other
ahead
words,
and bet.
nobody really has
He's not gonna
anything
be
in the
able to make any
pot.
money off
Nobody has
Yeah.
anything except for the straight. The straight's not going to go crazy.
Oh, and he
with
shows
that.
it. He shows the jacks though. Very
It's
nice.
kind of crazy. Greg's not famous for showing his hands.
No, he is not.
I played a lot with Greg.
don't think
He's
I
just
can
having
do it.
fun. He's having
Yeah.
fun.
When you pick up something like jacks on what was it, fifth, sixth hand that you play, you know.
Oh, he just sat down, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did. He just sat down.
Oh, just sat down. Oh, great.
And like you're saying, he's just having fun. Just
And
having a good old
1.2.
time.
Yeah, he bought in kind of short. I'm a little bit surprised with that, but I guess he's just having a little bit of fun.
Well, we were talking about the short stack game, and he says, if I could buy in for $200, I'd probably do that. Just to
Well, your decisions are so easy.
easier. Yeah,
Yeah.
your
And
money.
you can't make mistakes whenever you're all in.
Right.
And there's, I mean,
You've
you
already
can't
played
make mistakes on flop, turn, and river, right?
it. Right.
You dodge all that.
Right.
Slate, I like a rundown hand like Slate's got right there.
Almost. Yeah, he's got a suited
Two,
jack.
yeah,
on
he's
there.
got 2 gappers. I mean, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's a little bit different format we play here in West Texas, but putting the money on the button.
Right.
Most everywhere, you have a small blind and a big blind, ante, and it plays a little bit different. Plays a little bit different. It's a little bit faster whenever you put the money on the button, but there's no incentive to play out of position.
Right.
You really don't get a discount.
Right.
But
Yeah, and you defend your blinds.
wow, look at Billy here.
Yeah, Billy actually looking.
Billy
really
opened
good.
up his range up here a little bit,
Billy looking real good with those pair of deuces.
but
Let's
Billy
see.
plays good. Billy can get away with
Yeah.
stuff, and the thing about Billy, he really knows how to extract value. Wow, look at here, Jade
Wow.
with
Off the
the
nut flush.
with the nuts, and it's only 71%. We have a ace-7, 2 pair for Robert. So
Yeah, Robert gets out of there.
Robert gets
doesn't.
out, so that's kind of game
Decides
over here.
not to boat.
Game over here.
Yeah, Jade's aggression shuts it down. She shows,
$75 for
she showed
at a
the
one.
king.
Oh, she's the lone king.
I think she showed
Just
one
by
card.
itself. King
I think it
hearts
was
by
just the
itself.
king. Yep, and she's still at the top of the leaderboard there.
Yeah,
4.8K. Pretty good amount of money on the table.
yeah. There is a lot of money on the table for a fun little game. It's there. You know what? I've probably done. I want to say close to 150 trips down here to Midland
Woo.
for cash games mainly, and they're just a lot of fun.
I
I
will
mean,
say-
really, really fun.
Some of the best poker times I've had have been in this building.
Yes,
just
yes.
because people are not taking it super seriously.
No, and it's a friendly group. It's just
Yeah.
a friendly. It's made a lot of friends here, and the action's really good
It
here.
is.
I really hate telling everybody that, but it was my honey hole for a long, long time.
Don't fish in my pool.
Yeah, exactly. But it really is. It's a good group of people.
And I like-
Management great, owners great,
Yes, I agree. Even the
super dealers.
Yes.
They really get the top notch dealers. They really do.
Each one of them's one of my favorite.
Ooh, I like a hand like queens and fours.
We appreciate that.
There it is. Yeah, it's very true.
Oh,
though.
I didn't know
It's
we had to
very
do.
true.
I like to cuss them usually. If I'm in front of one, I
all
like
the
to
dealers
cuss.
for Chris are.
Yeah, exactly. Chris is the worst, by far.
Oh, man. I know, Slade picking up one too many spades out there, but I will say even the people who take it the most seriously out here are still willing to kind of go over a hand with you.
Oh,
Did I make
yes.
the right decision?
Oh,
What
for
would you do
sure,
in this
for sure.
position?
Yeah.
Very generous with their knowledge, and I really
Right.
appreciate. As a new player, I really appreciate that.
Queens and fours missed.
Jay holding a pair of jacks.
I mean, we don't know what Billy still has a hand, right? Just
Yeah,
not
Billy-
shown.
Yeah,
Right.
Billy's not
So
showing.
we're
but
gonna guess a little bit.
He did bet already. And
Well,
he did take it
Billy
down.
Billy takes it down, but
Yeah.
it doesn't get shown.
And that's it. That's all it takes. That's all you got to do. Just bet. You'll win.
It's easy. You don't
Billy's
even-
famous for
you don't
doing
even have
that.
to know what your cards are. Just throw them down.
I'm telling you,
Exactly.
Billy gets awful creative. I played lots of poker with Billy. Billy's probably one of the better players in the middle of Odessa area. Really,
super
he
smart guy too.
travels around a lot, and he really gets it. He's so creative. He can he can really put you to the test
Yeah.
for big amounts. And we used to play a whole lot bigger cash games than this.
Yeah, he is unfazed by the limits. He does not care.
No,
You ever meet somebody and you can just tell, like, exchanging pleasantries, hey, how are you? How's it going? You can just tell that guy's got 50, 60 IQ points on you. That's how I felt when I met Billy.
that feels like every time I play. Every time I play, they're a little bit smarter than I am. But yeah, sometimes it's just that way. Yeah, especially these wizards.
There's
That's why I don't. I mean, I care. I'm not gonna play any of these high rollers
Yeah.
and stuff like that against these. But I learn a lot from them. I watch all the high roller poker go stuff. It's really a great learning tool.
Fantastic learning.
But
tool.
when they have this game figured out,
Right.
and you're playing for big amounts of money, I mean, I just don't care to even
Yeah.
let them go kill each other. Let them go.
let the
let
sharks
let
figure it
yeah,
out.
let them do what they do.
Well, Raymer and I were talking about the skill level of the game. The past 15 years or so, I mean, it's just exponentially jumped
Oh
up.
yes.
And back in the day, you would run into some real bad players who are still playing for a lot of money.
Oh yes,
Now
for sure.
it's just not the case.
And online was
Yeah.
big back then. 15 years ago, it was a different beast. I played a lot. I'm 55, and I started when I was 23
Yeah.
in Amarillo with Slim, Amarillo
Okay.
Slim. Back in the day, he was in our home game. Traveled the country with him as a kid, and then kind of when online kind of started in the early 2000s, I played a lot online.
Yeah.
Did that, was ranked number 2
Wow,
on
congratulations.
Pocket Fives for about a year straight.
Wow, nice.
And so I got the online background. Then I started playing a lot live. Mainly a lot of cash games.
Yeah.
I really don't play tournament poker much anymore. I really like to play the cash games. And that's really kind of what I've been doing ever since.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love to play these
Ooh,
games.
Look at this, Ben picking up quads now.
Are you kidding me?
The second time we've seen quads in what, 5
Wow,
minutes, 10
easy
minutes?
game, easy game.
Easy game, exactly. Just
And-
click that raise button.
Wow, but it's top 2, and
And against Jade,
he got
too,
lucky
who-
that Jade really never did improve. That would have been
Yeah.
a pretty sick river.
Oh man, yeah.
There were
if
some
she-
bad river cards for her.
If she had hit a boat or a
Wow,
or
and
a
this
flush.
queen looks like it's probably going to save her.
Yeah, it may shut the action down. Yeah, she's kind of
Wow,
debating.
she's
She's usually quick to bet.
first to act here, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and
It looked like she checked it, and Ben's kind of contemplating. Ben's betting here.
Ben's gonna go ahead and bet. She folds before he can
Yeah.
even line
The
chips
queen
up.
really saved her. Queen,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, if it was a river deuce or something like that, with top 2 pairs, she might have had a little bit tougher decision. But she turned the worst card she could catch. That 6. It brings
hey, it's
makes
man
2
time.
jacks good. Makes an overpair good. And obviously any
8-15.
6. So she got saved a little bit there. That could have been way worse for her.
Sounds about right, sir.
So what did Greg
Maybe
start
3 more
with?
hands or so.
You have any idea what Greg started with?
No. I think he started with 1,000. So
He's up a little bit, yeah.
No, just guessing with the time.
Greg probably has the worst seat in the house, having Billy to your left.
Sounds good, thank you.
I would hate to have Billy to my left.
Oh man, yeah, yeah.
I mean, Billy's probably the wizard. I don't know. From what I hear, Ben's probably
Ben
a top-notch player.
Ben is an excellent player. Old Fossil Man had some good things to say about Ben.
I played with Mohawk some.
Mohawk is
Yeah.
also an interesting player, and he's
Yeah.
got that look too. It's kind
Right.
of threatening.
I played a lot. The game we played a lot here, and I played a lot with Mohawk and Billy as well. But everybody calls him Mohawk here.
Oh, sure.
That's what. And then so it's like we play a game called Big O. That was mainly our big cash game here.
Yeah,
For a
Yeah,
long
I
period of
noticed
time.
It's starting to come back. Now I was asking everybody. I even asked Chris, and I asked Fossil Man. What do you see about the popularity of PLO? Do you think that's going to take over as the dominant poker?
You know what?
variant?
When I grew up, and I was 20, this is like 33 years ago, my home game was all PLO. So I played way more PLO than starting out than I ever played No Limit Hold'em.
Interesting.
No Limit Hold'em was even back at the World Series back in the late 80s when I started playing the early 90s, all throughout the 90s. When you went to the World Series and played cash games, it was all Big O, the Big O.
Big O.
No,
okay.
no, but yeah, no, not Big O, PLO.
Okay, gotcha.
PLO. And then, so that's kind of what everybody played. That's what all the gambling games were. And nobody really played No Limit until it was like, unless it was the tournament, the main event.
Yeah.
But even the side games were never No Limit Hold'em.
Really?
Just when you wanted to play the 10K buy-in,
Okay.
the World Championship.
So when did it switch? It was like the mid '90s.
The moneymaker effect.
That's what it was.
Well, whenever that was the boom.
I got you.
Had a lot to do with the name Moneymaker, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
Had a lot to do with ESPN broadcast over and over. They had a hockey strike
Yeah.
during the time,
Right.
so they couldn't air a lot of
Couldn't do
hockey. So they had that content of the World Series of Poker that aired it over and over again.
Okay.
And it just made Chris Moneymaker the biggest name in poker, a
Yeah.
household name.
Right.
And created the poker boom for 04.
Right.
And that's kind of when I had a little bit of success back in 04. The first ESPN event, I actually got second in.
Very nice.
But
Congratulations.
I'll let you know when I'm over it.
Yeah.
Not winning that bracelet was pretty sick.
Can't-
So I'll let you know when I'm over it.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
over
yeah.
it yet.
I hear you.
But anyway, Greg, that's what Greg won the main event
Uh-huh.
in 04. And Greg became one of the biggest names in poker as well.
Indeed. Yeah.
Real
those
famous for the glasses.
Exactly. So you don't think it's going to switch back to PLO anytime soon? I guess.
You know what? It's just so hard for No Limit is easy to follow. For the average person, it's easy to follow. What do I do with two cards? But when you deal with it's just a hard game to watch on TV and follow.
Right.
Because there's so many
So
draws
many
that get there.
things.
It's just, you almost have to be almost like me, a poker nerd
Yeah.
or something like that to really get into PLO because it's just not the average person can pick it up.
Sure.
Like Dole Brunson said years ago, it takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those games. Everybody, because it's like sex or anything else, they always think they're better at it than they are.
Sex.
Everybody thinks they're better than they are. And it's just like, everybody thinks they play No Limit Hold'em better than they do.
Yeah. That's very
Here's
true.
aces right here looking,
And Slate
and a
picks up
club draw
trips.
versus first set of trips here.
Yeah, this is going to be a nasty hand right now.
Right, you have open-ended with a flush draw.
Uh-huh. And we don't know what Ben or Jade has. Jade could have
Right.
any 4 cards.
We've got that determined, huh?
Yep. Ben also probably has 4 cards.
Yeah. We're just going to play the guessing game here.
Let's see. I think Ben may have a jack in his hand. He may have a Broadway draw, if I had to guess.
Slate didn't quite get there.
Ben bet 250.
Wow.
Yeah, this is
250, yep.
It doesn't have a hand.
And Ben doesn't even have a hand. That's all. The graphics
oh,
are
the
wrong.
graphics are behind.
The graphics are wrong.
So you're saying I'm wrong about my guess.
You were so wrong. Ben did not have 4 cards.
Yeah, that was where I went wrong in the
Here
first
we're
place.
heads up. But with Jay doesn't have it, and Slate shows the queen, and his hand's getting killed. So
Looks
Apparently
like
Jade
had
won
a
it.
queen too.
That's what it looks like.
my eyesight's just not that good. I lied. Slate win the pot.
Oh,
So I
Slate
guess
takes it down.
the 3 queens were right. You might have been right about Jade.
With
That-
4 cards?
Give me any 4 cards.
Thank you. Hey, I got one right tonight.
Huh?
Y'all have a great
Thank.
night.
See you,
You do the
Lindsay. You
same.
take care.
I'm gonna go to bed. Bye.
Bye. See you Monday.
Oh yeah, I'd be here.
We all come back Monday. Everybody's taking tomorrow off.
Taking Easter Sunday.
Yeah, Easter Sunday's
Easter
off.
Sunday.
And we all come back Monday to play the main event.
Main event day 2.
Day 2.
How you feeling?
You know what? I've got 330 something in the bag, but we're coming back to 6K big blinds. So I got 55, 56 big blinds.
Not a bad place to be.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for
Yeah.
better than that. Carrie, I played a great big pot with Carrie for about 600,000. I had ace queen versus her ace king, and I couldn't make the worst hand stand up.
Unfortunately.
Couldn't do it.
Unfortunately. Was it 3-1
Yeah.
dog? About 3-1?
Yeah, it's about, you know what, when you're dominated like that, it's about a 3-1, 3.5 to 1 dog
Mm-hmm.
like that. So when you have that,
It's tough to get that dog stand up, huh?
30%. I'm about 30%.
I hear you.
So yeah, about 3.5 to 1 dog. But anyway, she actually played really good. She's really improved. I'm glad to see her at the camp.
Yeah.
She's really kind of taking it serious. And I asked her, I said, "Was it good for you?" She said, "She really learned something."
Yeah.
So that's good.
I think a lot of people did.
If you're going to really, be serious about this game, you should really take the camps,
Right.
learn something, because this game, you don't want to learn everything the hard way.
Right. Yeah,
So,
it's expensive.
It gets
say
expensive
the
to learn
least.
everything the hard way.
To say the least.
It's freaking expensive. It sure
Oh,
does.
Man. Well, they call that tuition. Yeah, seek out the knowledge, seek out the education. With the internet too, it's very accessible nowadays.
Man, if you want to get out there on YouTube, or there's different sites out there, Solve for Why. I love the
Yeah, fantastic.
Solve for Why. Yeah, you're hearing. Have you seen the Solve for Why
Oh,
stuff? Yeah, they're
Yeah,
wearing the
big-
headphones,
Big student.
and they sit there and they're talking about the dynamics as they're playing it.
Right.
You get to hear the inner thoughts of a pro, why they're playing
easy
it.
to hand.
You just can't learn. There's just not a better way to learn.
It's so good. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it-
And of
as
course,
it's happening.
yeah, and of course
And there-
there's coaches and things like that, clinics that you and
Sure, but
Foster
to hear
have
the
provide.
inner dialogue while you're doing it,
Oh,
it's just the best. That's what we did with our hand labs when we were playing the hand labs.
Mhm.
And if you had, you have a tough decision, just fold it to the rail, and we'll talk about it.
right.
Well, do we like the bet sizing? Do we like the range? Do we like the, there's just so much to go over.
Oh,
And
it's a deep game.
and when you start the hand labs and when we finish it up, you can see over 3 hours time or 4 hours time the great improvement,
Really?
because you're fixing the leaks in your play.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I mean,
very
it's
true.
just like you fix those leaks and you have a solid foundation to build on.
Right.
And I guess it's like taking a 35-year-old golfer.
Yeah.
It's hard to make him into a champion. But you take a 16-year-old kid,
Right.
that doesn't have all the bad mistakes
Right.
to break down,
Yeah, blank slate.
and then a solid foundation to build on.
right.
Now that guy's,
Now he's gonna
or
tear it
girl,
up. Or her.
is-
Yeah. Or her.
has a chance to be a champion.
We had many ladies in the
Oh,
clinic
yes.
this week.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little more female presence, I think, in this game because it's an intellectual one.
I've learned from a lot of females.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, some of my best teachers were females.
A lot of the. No offense to the ladies watching, but a lot of the females I know like to be sneaky.
Oh.
This is great game to be sneaky.
It's crazy. I just traveled.
Ooh, Jade is all in here with
Wow.
two pair.
2-pair and open-ended.
2-pair and open ended. No flush draw, but she is
Right.
Do we have a
And should get
three-way
it-
all in?
Three-way
It should-
all in.
Oh wow.
9K pot. I think these players
This is
know.
crazy.
We've only got a few minutes left on the stream, so this may be the last hand, but what a way to go out.
Wow, look at the equity and only 49%
Woo!
with 2-pair and open-ended.
With 2-pair and
You're
open
just so
end.
vulnerable with that, and you got to
Yeah.
dodge the hearts. You got to dodge the 10 or running pairs.
Right.
I don't know.
Oh man, and Slate with his kings.
Yeah, that's
You
a
can
little.
hit a
That's
king if
well, there's only 1 4 in the
there's
deck,
only 1 4 left, but if she
Right.
hits that 4,
and it can't. And it's the 4 hearts if it comes.
right, that is true.
So he's got to. If he catches the 4, he's got to pair the board too.
Yep. Pair
And
the
it
board.
can't be a 5
It can't be a 5.
because the 5-3 gets there.
Woo! Talk about math right there.
I know that's what. But when you
It's like
learn
Sudoku.
PLO first, you learn the dynamics of the draws, the equity in the hands.
Sure.
I think it's easier to count because you're always counting your outs
Yeah.
and PLO. So I think PLO is actually a good game to start learning, and I really think it helps improve your no limit game
Right.
because you're always thinking in terms of equity, outs, and what the percentage will win in the pot.
What?
And it's easier to figure than no limit. No limit is kind of a. I mean, I'm glad I started out with PLO first.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a smart
I-
choice. And the other thing too, personally, I started out on Hold'em, and I get freaked out just by having 4 cards in my hand. So if you get used to
Yeah,
having 4,
if you had
shut
4,
that
it's a
down.
little bit easier. Yeah,
Yeah.
you think your decision a little bit easier,
Right.
and it's a swinger game. Okay,
There's
the
a 7.
straight's still good,
Oh.
and I think
There's the
the
good.
The 5-3
gets
is
a little excited.
10-7
gets there for Ben.
10-7.
Two pairs,
Oh
10-7.
man,
Oh,
a better
God.
2 pair.
Exactly.
And she thinks she's good, I think. But the dealer pulls up 10-7. And,
Yeah, 10-7 gets there.
And that's it.
Had a lot of outs. Could catch the 7, the 10.
Had a
The
lot
Jack,
of
the ace
outs.
wouldn't have been any good.
And Ben
'Cause it-
covers Jade, so I think Jade is out for now.
Well, Ben had a lot of chips.
Yeah.
Ben had a lot of chips, so
And Jade's down to 680, it looks like, if the graphics are correct. And oh, there goes Ben. Just
Just your
grabbing
typical
him,
9K
just grabbing
pot.
him. Just your typical 9K pot here on a Saturday night. No big deal. Look at that mountain of chips.
wow.
Woo! That's
Wow,
gotta
wow,
feel
wow.
good.
Wow. Getting in,
And of
and
course,
you can't be crazy about the 10 high flush draw, but having that top pair with it,
right.
it's just if they do have a bigger flush, you have a lot of equity. You have
Right.
a lot of 2 pair outs.
Woo! And Ben picking up 9K right there.
Wow.
Now Jade, our graphics say has 680, but it looks like she's been felted.
Yeah,
I
I,
was-
think that's wrong, and
Fairly
it looks
certain.
like Slade's gone too.
Slate is out.
Yeah,
talk about.
but
busted
Slade
two
doesn't have
players.
bankroll problems, so
So
allegedly.
Well, he left his fossil on the table.
Yeah,
so it looks like he's
he'll
gonna be
come
coming
back. He'll reload. And she's not leaving either, so it looks like
Oh no!
it just looks like they're.
Can we zoom in
Refire.
on her phone screen? Can we see what she's looking over here?
I'm guessing it's probably a Cash App.
That may be what that
We
is.
do that at the table sometimes. Hey, can we get some?
Right.
Let me wire you a little bit of
Let me
money.
cash app you a little bit of money and give me some chips.
Yeah.
Give me some of those back that I just gave to you.
Wow, what a 9K pot.
What a pot right there. Now the previous highest pot I believe was 5.1, so
Yeah.
almost double.
Yeah, we shattered that one,
we
didn't we?
shattered that one. We did a good job there.
Wow.
Yeah, they're giving Slate cards, so he must have.
Yeah, he must have.
Yeah, he got
had
money
some
back.
Cash to
Yeah.
a brush.
He got some cash.
Yeah, he's.
Jade's getting cards as well.
I don't
so-
think Slade's on a budget. Allegedly,
Allegedly, right?
this game ain't gonna hurt him.
Oh man. Well, that's the poker game, isn't it?
Yeah, and Slade's actually a really good player too.
He is.
He takes it serious.
He is.
He gets deep in a lot of tournaments. Won some tournaments. He's yeah.
He double bagged in the Texas stack.
Oh, he did. He double
He did.
bag. Yeah,
Double bagged in the Texas stack.
yeah. He actually plays pretty good, pretty solid
Pretty solid.
in tournament style.
This looks like this may be our last hand, so I really appreciate everybody joining us. Looks like we're running up on the clock, got about maybe 4 or 5 more minutes. So just want to say before we get cut off, thanks for watching, everybody. Come out and see us on Monday. We're going to be doing day 2 of the tournament. We've got a couple of events going on as well for the rest of this month, I believe. Couple
Check
more
out the
tournaments.
Poker Atlas. See what games are kind of running.
There you go.
Oftentimes they have really decent games here. Great tournaments. It's you'll see a lot of the same people over and over. A lot of
yeah.
regulars.
A lot of good
But
folks.
but it's good people. I mean, really, I made a lot of great friends at this place.
I would say it's really emphasis on the club when they say
Yeah,
poker club.
it is. It's like a little community,
It is.
and everybody's welcome. It's always friendly here, and
Yeah,
it's
come out and see
really
us.
it really is a great place.
Come out and see us.
Great action, as you can tell.
That's
9K pots with 10,
9K
with
pots.
10 high flush draws. One pair.
One pair. That's all it takes.
Lock the door, right?
That's right. That's right. Oh yeah, the previous record, that 5.1K pot, Jade won with a pair of 8s
Yeah.
in a PLO hand. Pair of 8s.
I think I'm gonna go jump a jackass game.
Might as well. You might as well. See if you can squeeze
I'm in the wrong
there.
place. We'll play 11 handed if we have to. I'm getting in this dang game.
Oh
That's
man,
crazy.
we got 2 hearts on the board already. Slate with the flush draw, as well as Robert with the flush draw,
And the wrap too.
And the wrap.
The 10 Jack Queen.
and the route.
Any 7, 10 Jack Queen makes a nut straight as well.
Ooh, and it looks like he's gonna be
That's
pretty
just
good.
a monster.
That's a monster right there. Oh, here we go. We got the racks coming out, and that was the last hand. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. We are going to continue this game, even though the
Yeah, she's buying chips. This
stream
ain't
is
cashing
going
out.
off. Yeah, that was the last hand. I appreciate you. Yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you for coming out, Mr. Sean, Mr. Chris. We got a couple of good guests, and of course, Greg Raymer. Thanks for being here and stopping in Midland. We had a great time. Hope you had a great time as well. Anything you want to say?
No, come on out and beat them up.
Come on out and beat them up. You heard it here.